You're happy? 11-11.
I'm happy.
These are the
11-11. Make a wish.
These are the numerology signs that say we must roll now.
11-11. Let's go Trump.
No. Apartheid Nkomishi you got?
I'm nice, yeah, but it's empty now. But ngizogcwalisa ngamanzi just now. Akhona amanzi?
No, there's water.
Yeah, umzela amanzi.
We can get.
Okay.
Cold water.
Just amanzi. Please rinse this for me. And
Just
then
for
bring
vibes.
me a bottle of water.
Bottle of water. You want to pour it in here?
I'm going to pour it in there.
There's a,
That
clip,
cup is very important when I come to this show.
there's a clip on TikTok of this guy. He looks like he's drunk and he's busy shouting at, I think it's a foreigner walking down the street. Ukuthi iSouth Africa iyahlupheka. Umuntu akabuyele kube Kongo. Anamahlo eKongo. Sanihambe siyahlupheka asinalutho hambani anamahloni. Anyways, 11-11.
Buyelani bafethu.
So nje ukuthi your cup is empty ngicabanga nje ukuthi asenalutho bafethu. Mani nifuna ukuphuma eZimbabwe, inkomishi zi-empty, siphuza ngeinkomishi ze-apartheid, kuhlubile.
Wait, there's a clip of Kamala Harris when the Democrats realized that their open border policy was a complete mistake. She's like, they're like, what do you say to the people making their way to the United States in the caravans? She's like, don't come. Don't come. Like she's telling, it's like, okay, we won't. And people just continue coming. I think as South Africa, that guy is right, my man. Agna Lutola, there's not enough for us. We don't still have time now to spread those very thin resources as now on Ama Congolese. Gabi.
Do you know what nationalism is? Thank you. Thank you, Tebza.
Pride in one's national identity.
So
if I'm proud to be a South African,
that's nationalism.
I'm a nationalist.
Because they say Trump is bringing back nationalism.
Yes, because he wants America for Americans. First and foremost. He doesn't want anyone else. Just means America first. And the same example that you're making. Once we are covered, we can look at covering others. But for now, we are not covered. And we're still spreading ourselves to cover others. That's why all the aid was pulled. It's like, okay, let's bring it back in. Let's assess properly what these contracts with these aid organizations and NGOs are. Let's audit how much money are we giving them and what are they using it for. And then let's take a new stock take of how much money do we have. What do we need to fix at home first with that money? And then how much will we have to spare to distribute to the rest of the world?
70% of our aid money was coming from America. I don't know if you know. It's over R1 billion a year. I don't know if you're aware of that. I think...
I'm not, no.
I forgot how much money was going to WITS. I don't know if it's 40 million or something. I'll get the number just
in the
for
form
completeness.
of grants.
Research.
Okay.
Like it's an entire industry, and there were people that were living their best life. I don't have the numbers here, man. I apologize.
Yes.
You know, when I was in varsity, number one, I thought the tripartite
alliance.
The tripartite alliance was going to split. I thought the ANC, COSATU, and the Communist Party, the SACP.
That's the tripartite?
Yeah. The trade unions and the Communist Party. I thought they were going to split.
Into what? Into separate parties or SACP and unions? Or ANC and unions, SACP on its own?
This was back in 2005 to expose my age. But I was like, this is not going to last, this thing, because these guys have such differing ideologies. It hasn't happened yet. And I think it's because Abo played Nzimande from communism, and I don't know if Uzweli Nzimavavi was under COSATU and the likes. I guess some of these guys tasted a bit of money.
He was kicked out of
he was kicked out. Yeah. Some of these guys tasted a bit of money. Some of the guys that sit on these company boards as BE partners are ex-trade unionists. They taste the money and then they cross over. I'm still looking forward to that officially. The split, because these guys are not on the same page.
Yes, they might not be on the same page ideologically.
Yeah.
But what do they have in common? So what keeps them there? And in my opinion, it's that taste of a little bit of money. Is that whether you are in a senior position in the SACP, a senior position in the ANC, or a senior position in the unions, you are rich as fuck. No, nemali. Yabo? So your position gives you access to opportunities. And those opportunities come with great wealth.
course.
And it's the root cause problem of most of what we see going on, is that people are bought, for lack of a better explanation. And honestly speaking, like last time we mentioned it, but like I actually gave it serious thought. If we had to Doge everything, do you understand? If we came in with a Doge strategy and we said, okay, we're auditing everyone, how far do we extend the list of what's acceptable and what's not? And what I mean is, if me and you, Penuel, we are in charge of the Penuel podcast, for example, right? But we're getting offers and TV deals from Bo, MultiChoice and SABC and whatever, but we're not telling Machi Dai that, no, actually, I brought this deal via MultiChoice, and MultiChoice is giving me and Penuel a bribe of 10 million, for argument's sake. This is all hypothetical. Okay, we are taking the bribe of 10 million.
Hypothetical for now.
Debza doesn't agree that we should go there. He thinks we should go to the SABC, or maybe he thinks we should go to ETV. And he's like, all right, guys, why are we making a policy decision for the company to say we are going to partner with DSTV? And we don't tell this guy that, no, actually DSTV has gifted us this 10 million rand catering contract or 10 million rand bribe. There's a lot of that going on in our senior ranks of the various leaders that represent us, where it's like, what interests are you connected to in your family? What does your wife do? What does your brother, sister, immediate family do? Then let's go one removed. What do your best friends do? And how did they get that work? How did they get rich? If we start assessing all of that, I think the whole thing will fall apart. Then it'll be back to ideology. And then they'll realize that actually we are not friends.
Some of us thought that would come with the Commission of State Capture, only to realize that it was just a political tool.
What's happening with that thing?
Nothing. It was meant for vibes.
Yeah, because
no, not for vibes. It was meant to punish Uzuma and whoever's linked to them. And even if nothing of tangible consequence came, it's to just do such a good PR job that everywhere in the world, they're like, but they set up a commission for him. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Everyone knows billions and trillions were taken. You're like, give me the numbers.
That's
and there's
a narrative.
Nothing. It's a narrative. So the narrative is good enough.
Okay, because my understanding at the time that it ended was it cost over R1 billion.
Correct.
And then what was named in that commission? Because remember, we had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
With Desmond
TRC,
Tutu. Archbishop
Desmond Tutu.
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity for everybody to come forward and tell the truth about what they did. Okay? You'd be exempt of...
Yeah. Confess your sins to
your
the Archbishop.
Sins, yes. So we can understand the depth of this system. Okay, so come through, confess your sins. Let's understand, why did Penuel burn a school? Why did this one bomb a bridge? Why did you torture people? And then out of that, when Penuel was sitting there as a witness, we found out, General Warras is the one who ordered me. They called General Warras. Yeah. General Warras gets there, he says, no, the plan was to push all the black people up to Zimbabwe and all the Indian people to Durban, put them on ships. Remember those kak plans? Yeah. I don't know if you had those Puramach plans. But in the end...
Those are fair plans from their perspective.
They're fair plans, but
from their perspective,
yeah. What I mean...
We want people who are going to toe the line and do the labor. And if you're not, you can fuck off somewhere else.
You must go to the camp.
Yeah.
Right? So when the commission was over, we kind of had a better understanding of the whole picture of how the apartheid apparatus worked. That was at least what I believe was its intended purpose. Sure. And then we started on a clean slate. Rainbow Nation, no revenge. We're not going to get anybody back for what they did. And today, there's men that I know that sat in that TRC thing that today are fantastically rich. And they run big security companies, big mining interests. And they were there saying, no, when I was a policeman, I had to torture black people, but I did it because I was following orders. You see? Now we come to the state capture one. So when I kind of was catching bits and pieces of it here and there, my understanding was we need to have this thing so that we can understand the full apparatus of corruption. How are people exploiting government contracts for personal gain? How are the networks designed where, people are removed from key institutions like your SARS, your Transnet, and they are replaced by people who are very close to, for example, Jacob Zuma or the Zuma faction. And then over the period of years that follows, you start noticing that No one is auditing Penuel. Penuel owes SARS 500 million, but like he's just never getting attention because the people were installed at every step of the way. So it's a very complex, what do you call that thing? Organogram, right? But I don't think the same, where the TRC had this exemption from prosecution clause. Yes. The State Capture Commission didn't have that.
It didn't.
It was, let's understand the apparatus, who did what and how did they do it, and then let's punish those responsible. No one has been punished. In fact, the Guptas were the face of state capture. The last we heard of them, we were told that an extradition letter, whatever, what you call it, extraditing, what?
Yeah.
Extradition order
yeah.
is going to Dubai and those niggas is coming back. They'll be back like in 3 months.
Yeah.
Every single media outlet ran with that story. That was 2 years ago.
Nothing happened. No one took photos of them. They said they were arrested. Nothing happened. Even the guys in Dubai were like, no, Tina, we don't have to abide by this thing.
This thing is
just
nonsense.
Fell into the air. With that being said, even with that story, many people assume the extradition order meant they were coming to be arrested. No. They were being asked to just come and answer questions.
Pretty much.
That's all.
They don't have to.
And they don't have to.
Yeah, if they don't want to.
And also with the state capture, with what you're speaking about now, the other thing was you didn't need proof. You'd go to the State Capture Commission and just talk.
Because it wasn't a court of law. That was the problem. So two things that you mentioned. There was no exemption. Yeah. So it's not like come speak and then you'll be forgiven. Yes. So there's no incentive, to be honest, number one. Number two is this thing of it wasn't a court of law. Just come talk. But there's the chance that beyond that, other people will then go and investigate.
It was a commission of inquiry.
Essentially.
Yes,
just
it was a commission of inquiry.
So why not partner up with the public protector to say, look, you are the arm of investigating this thing?
The public protector also doesn't investigate, by the way.
Yeah.
It still needs to be referred to other guys. These guys are just, it's like a mediation.
Yeah.
If you're fighting with someone, we're going to call you social worker, and then we're going to call your parents. When you're asking a public protector, it is or chair, is or auditor, but the public protector can't say Zuma must pay. They can suggest. Then maybe a judge can say, based on these suggestions, I would like to make it a court order.
You see, then it becomes useless because right now,
my commission.
The whole media has had this thing of 10 years of wasted years with Jacob
nine
wasted years. Things are just bad.
Sorry, man. I love Msholo.
This is my favorite president. So, but now the question then becomes, it's like, where is the proof? That's why when anyone says anything about Zuma, no one has got proof. Like literally, everyone is hearsay. Then what's the point of the commission?
You see, because like Penuel said earlier, sometimes an accusation is enough.
Good enough.
To discredit a person. Because it's not designed, it's not designed to find him guilty. It's designed to discredit him. Like you said, when the stories are reported, they're reported in such a way that it's like an overview. You know, a very general kind of headline where it's like, but he's the one, the state capture guy. What is state capture? Can't explain. No, it was a commission of inquiry. Okay. What happened from there? No, names were named and people were peopled. Okay. Who's been arrested? No one of significance. Now and then I've seen stories coming out saying Tebza who was implicated in the state capture inquiry, has now been arrested for in, right? When, like, after Ndlovu was cut, most of the names that we see in the newspapers as being part of these massive corrupt deals, whether it's through state capture or whether it's the Edwin Sodis or the Ace Makashules or, famous names, Paul Mashatile is another one, Bamshang media. Years pass, charges are dropped or withdrawn.
Life goes on.
That's it. There's a tactic, that's used by the courts. I was speaking to a friend of mine about this yesterday, currently going through this thing, where they try and exhaust you. See, they've got more money than you.
Yeah.
So what they try to do is they try to bring you there as many times as they can. But you're going to run out of money and you're going to start weakening from a defense perspective. And then even if in the end the judge says, okay, well, I don't find anything wrong. Here's a fine, 25 million, for argument's sake.
That's a lot of money.
You're either not going to have the 25 million because they've bled you of your resources. When your name is in the paper everywhere, bakshang in media, what happens is you start losing work.
Of course.
You see, whatever business you're in, people now no longer want to associate with you. So you're losing work in the real world because of this association to a court case.
Reputational risk.
Reputational risk.
Yeah.
And That's actually what they want to do. Abafuna ukukubopha, because they know
cancel
from
culture.
the beginning. Yes, they know from the beginning that our case is shaky at best. Whenever I hear our NPA lady, do you know that auntie?
Did you mention her? Hey, you love her. Upatoy.
Batoy. I'm not sure if I've mentioned her before, but I did tweet about it.
Hey, there's many people that
Every
speak about her.
time that lady makes a statement of any kind, okay, you know what her job is at 4 million rand a year or something. Just Google how much she earns. She earns a shitload of money. Her job is to say, I've never actually heard her in a sit-down interview. I only hear her on this one. Phone call interview on 702 or wherever, right?
Advocate Shamila
Right?
Batoy.
Yes. They're like, so advocate, hangas bambiza bampati. So Mpati, are we making progress in the state capture matter against Debza? She's like, we're reviewing all the available evidence. And right now what we're doing is we're putting together a commission to commission the commission. You know, like we are le.
You're commissioning,
Yeah, we're commissioning commissions. She never has any definitive feedback in any interview I've ever heard her give. And the second thing she does is she makes an excuse for it. So what she says is, look, when I took over the department, I found a department that was under-resourced and had been completely gutted from the inside. So we've been in the rebuilding phase. Bitch, you've been rebuilding the entire time you've been there. You've been there for 4 years, dog. When is the build complete? Like, what in the RDP contract is this?
Sure.
You understand? We are rebuild, I'm fine. We are rebuild. So, kushukuthi, we need to stop paying you. See vile nje department yakho out see vile.
Ngoba ayikho into enyenzayo.
Nazog, siqale phansi. Let's build. Let's restaff. Let's whatever. And then after 2 years, siqhubeke. Because ngemali yakho, we can restaff that whole place. At your salary that you earn annually, bro, we can kick the whole shit out. Please stop earning money because we don't need you to give us fucking feedback that we could have imagined ourselves. That is really, that lady in her portfolio, I'm sorry, I just don't see in Tayenza.
And look, maybe she's doing a good job for whoever implemented her there.
There we go.
But I'm saying it's for every department. Every department, when someone comes in, Enji Mutsecha, I just came in, the soldiers, we don't have helicopters. I found the situation, it's bad. Even when Ramaphosa came in, 9 wasted years, so I need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, we're going to give you excuses for how long? That's another thing it's always an issue. In the private sector, you've got a CEO. CEO, you've got 4 years to rebuild this thing. You've got 4 years. Make it work. In government, though, Ramaphosa isn't done for God. It's his second term now. He can still blame the other 9 years.
They still do.
Exactly. Yeah. But you're the CEO.
Right. Now, how do you feel when not necessarily President Cyril Ramaphosa, but his administration or anyone in it? Mam Angie Motshekga was another example. And a lot of ministers. How do you feel when they blame the previous administration? Because I've noticed it's a global phenomenon, right?
Sure.
Where the Trump administration blames the Biden administration for a lot of the positions it finds itself in. When the Biden one was in, it blamed the Trump for a lot of the positions it finds itself in. Now, if you've listened to what Trump and Elon and them have been saying now, they blame a lot of the stuff they're dealing with now on the Biden, Obama, Bush administration, even up to the Clinton administration.
Sure.
Doge was apparently something that Clinton touted to say, we need to get in, we need to audit government. We need a department of government efficiency, essentially, but never implemented it. When, what's her name? Bush came in, waikhuluma, but he didn't do anything about it. Kwangedu Obama. There's a speech. Obama's one is obviously, I would say in most recent memory, at least, it's recorded, where he was speaking about the waste and the wasteful expenditure in government and how he plans in his administration, I think in his second term, on tightening it up.
Yeah.
But he never did. The teachers' unions and all these massive unions and organizations in America that defraud the government, they carried on unabated. In fact, it even got worse under Obama. Sure. So now Trump is able to come in and say, well, me and Elon are doing it. And we're doing it because all these guys promised it and never delivered it. Now we have a similar situation. But in England, they do it as well. The UK Prime Minister blames the previous administration. We have this thing where we blame the 9 wasted years for where our institutions find themselves. And when that fails, what do we blame?
Apartheid.
The big A. And not AIDS, apartheid. We blame the big A.
How do you put A?
A-town down.
boy.
A-town
A,
down.
boy.
No. Pizza.
Apartheid to my death, nigga. Apartheid to my death, nigga. That was up.
You know that Deontay Wilder clip? Where he's like,
To this day.
we've been suffering for 400 years. Till this day.
It was on the red carpet.
Yeah.
He takes off his
Till this
glasses.
day.
How could you ask me a question like
man.
that? Hey, he's so angry. What a nice clip, man.
And that chick is like,
It's a chance, it's a chance. It's triggering him,
the
man.
interviewer is like, okay, till this day. Till this day.
Let me jump in while you guys are laughing.
That's us with apartheid, Penuel. It's like we are suffering till this day.
I love Uzuma for many reasons. And I understand people that dislike him for many reasons. I hope that the people that dislike Uzuma can take a few things away. One of them being, during Zuma's term, would be the one time that almost all of us would learn how government in this country works for the first time. Whether you're learning about it in weird ways, it's okay. It's like we learned about parliament through the EFF. Point of order and shouting and substantive motion.
Yes. And
How to
the
dress and
action.
all those things.
What do you call it? The when they rise on point of orders.
Yes.
It was all the drama that was happening
Yes.
there that made us interested.
But we learned things that we didn't know before. So the Guptas get attacked for ESCOM. And for the first time, we're finding out about evergreen contracts. We're finding out diamond. But these guys only a percentage. With state capture, we're learning about things like vendor financing. We've never heard about that. A company can give you a company or give you a business and say, we will fund it. And then the dividends you will use to pay back. And we'd learn about all these things, including things like state capture. What is state capture? Which many people can't define to this day. And after they teach us, then we're like, oh. Then we watch Cyril and his mates. And we're like, no, but you guys
see
said
what you're doing. Yeah.
that's state capture.
We've learned the lesson.
Didn't you guys say that when someone proximity and then benefits, so when Patrice gets IPPs and his brother-in-law is the one dishing and like, no, but you guys said this, Uzuma mustn't do this, but you're doing it.
100%.
So I hope the people that dislike Uzuma can take just at least that away to be like, I think he's corrupt. I think they stole money, whatever. But I learned so much about how this country functions during his term than before. Because with Mbeki, no Mandela, we were dizzy. We were just in euphoria and everything was surface level. We didn't understand.
I feel like, the only thing I remember, the only scandal I remember from the Mbeki Mandela years was the arms deal.
Sure.
Like the big state level.
100%.
Since then, every single state institution, whether it was SAA, Transnet, ESCOM, ISCOR, whatever else there was, since the arms deal, we've now seen the magnitude and scope of just how bad it is, right? Now that we've been exposed to it and, as you say, educated on it during the Zuma years, I feel like the country, at least not all of us, unfortunately, but I feel like we are now too vase.
Woke. That's the word. I know people don't like it. It's a trigger word now.
Well,
we're too woke.
We're too woke
Yeah.
to go back. You can't put us back in the box.
We've seen too much.
We've seen too much now. And now everything that we see you do, we know is bullshit. Now, maybe Warras and Penuel will know it, and we are fortunate enough. We have podcasts to jump on and talk about it. Most people don't have podcasts, and most people, as in the majority of people, they still don't know. The vast majority of the voting public have no fucking idea what's going on. They have no idea about state capture. They have no idea about favoritism and cadre deployment, etc., etc. And they continue voting in the same direction. And I don't see us getting out of the hole with the current voting system.
Did you hear Cyril talking about a water tanker mafia? That there are people that are sabotaging water infrastructure because they get contracts to supply water through water tankers.
I've heard
and
about
that
it.
stuff must stop. He reported on it last week. You didn't hear it?
No, I wanted to ask your opinion. I know of it. In KZN, I remember when, that time when I was still at Gagasi.
Sure.
I remember a story of that nature. Essentially, what they do is they sabotage the water infrastructure. To this area.
100%. The water tanker.
To deliver water tankers for reprieve. 3-4 days, let's say, without water. Per water tanker, if they're getting 100,000 rand, for argument's sake, for the water tanker to go and deliver 40,000 liters of water, they're sending like 20, 30 water tankers a day. It's a quick 6 bars. You understand what I'm saying? And then they switch the water back on. So that was the story I heard in KZN at that time. But with the rate at which the water infrastructure appears to be falling apart, clearly that water tanker contract must have skyrocketed in value. So if he's saying that people are doing it on purpose or it's being sabotaged by whoever these people are, that should be something that should be at the top of the priority agenda. You know, we can't be having that.
I normally get gaslit when Cyril speaks, just generally. I found it interesting that he can use terms like mafias and sabotage, and he has the ability, because nothing's been proven, as far as I know. No one's been arrested. It wasn't like we found the guys who sabotage infrastructure. We found out they are linked to. So Cyril is doing what we do on podcasts. He's spreading rumors and coming up with theories. And it's like, until you guys have done that, sure. But it's interesting that you understand this dynamic, that there's a straight line. And we are not allowed to draw a straight line and say, but when power plants are having issues, when we have load shedding, there might be mafias on the other side who are benefiting. And who are these people?
Diesel.
Where is this diesel coming from? And I found myself just intrigued that Ramaphosa can say something like this. And I was wondering if it's because his business associates are not linked. And it's more, you know, when you speak about Zuma's tenderpreneurs and the fraud, it's the guys. It's not the big boys.
The water tanker contracts are blacks, my man. Straight up.
Small guys. But he wouldn't say the same when we speak about the coal mafias and the diesel mafias and us.
I think that's another thing that state capture showed us is the magnitude of the contracts. Bro, like some of those figures that you hear, or Exar or Naboklen Co, in terms of the tonnage of coal that they deliver, at what price? It's stupid money. It's billions and billions of rands. You understand? When you calculate that over the period of time that they've held the contract, I think for the first time during the state capture inquiry, we were put on to the fact that there are families in South Africa that own these mines that have made so much money. It's almost unfathomable.
It is unfathomable.
Yeah. You know, when a mine is delivering 100,000 metric tons of coal to a particular power plant a month, and they're charging 550 rand per ton on that coal. And you know what the cost of coal is to get it out the ground, especially those large scale mines, your costs come down significantly. So if it's costing them 250 rand, let's say, per ton, they're making a profit of 300 rand per ton. They're transporting it from the mine to the power station at 50 rand per ton. That's a clean 250 per ton times 100,000 every single month. For 5 years.
They've had it for
year on year. 5 years renewable. They've had it now for 15 years.
This unfathomable. Oh, my English bundles are not here today. There's a guy on the Joe Rogan Experience who's like, people speak about $1 billion and they don't really know what that means. And he asks Rogan, how long is like 1 million seconds? And he makes an estimate and he's like, yeah, it's 11 days. 1 million seconds. This is now the difference between 1 million and 1 billion.
All right.
1 million seconds, 11 days. He's like, how long do you think 1 billion seconds are? And he's like, 31 years. From 11 days to 31 years, to just put it into perspective. That annoyed me. Cyril's not the only guy that gaslights me. I want to go back to varsity and I want to go back to my nationalism question. One of the other things besides thinking that the tripartite alliance would split is I read an article by Mbeki, the brother of ex-president Thabo Mbeki. And I remember at the time being very angry. Who the hell is this guy? What? I was annoyed.
Who, Mbeki?
Yes.
That's my guy. Watch your mouth, son.
I will not watch my mouth. You get Mbeki's name out of your...
Mbeki's brother is a boss. Till this day, that guy's just spitting facts, dog.
So...
he's the main Mbeki, in my opinion.
Years would pass and I'd see him as an intellectual. Very knowledgeable. There was an interview he did a few years back where he was speaking about how South Africa is still a proxy for the British Empire and how a lot of the work we're doing, however people try to masquerade it, is still very much serving the British monarch. Yes. I thought that was brilliant. Recently, he'd be on SMWX with Dr. Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh.
I watched that one.
And he was at the Biz News conference in Hermanus. And I went back to varsity.
Was the business news conference in Hermanus?
I believe so. It was last year.
Tell us how you really feel.
So,
Hermanus is like the Davos of South Africa. Anyway.
No, they creating it into the Davos.
Have you been there?
I went there last year.
Yeah, I also went there like 2 years back.
Hey, they've been recruiting their type of... Anyways.
Yeah.
I found myself getting gaslit again. Please go watch the speech when you get a chance.
The speech at the business news conference.
Yeah, because you watched the interview.
I watched the interview.
Yeah,
with
there's a few things he repeats, but at the business news conference, he specifically applauds the DA a lot. And he's asking Helen Zille how the DA can get to 51%, etc.
Okay, there I don't agree with him at all. I think the DA must be scrapped completely.
Okay.
I don't rate the DA. I don't take them serious.
Okay. You're going to start by answering that. Why you don't rate the DA? One of the things he says, this is going to be the second thing you want to address, is voters in 2024 voted against nationalism. He believes the big issue we have in South Africa is not socialism versus capitalism. It's actually nationalism. And he says when apartheid ended, it was the end of Afrikaner nationalism.
Yes.
And he's like, the African National Congress was meant to be for African nationalism. This idea, which you defined very well, of saying we are one nation, one identity. Make America great again. Make South Africa great again.
American. Yeah.
Make Africa great again. It's this idea of we're one, like the Springboks when they win. That's nationalism.
Then we are one.
Then we are, And he was like, people don't want nationalism. And they proved it in the elections. That's why the ANC went under 50%.
Because the Zulus went to the Zulus. MK was the breakaway star in that.
I'll let you share your views before I share mine.
Because in other words, what I'm saying is, if you're saying
DA, and then just that stance of him saying he believes this is the end. He believes there was a nationalism agenda, 1994, and that with these elections last year, it was black people saying we don't want African nationalism.
I think I'm more inclined to believe that then, is he saying nationalism is being replaced by what? Tribalism.
He says nationalism should be replaced by, and he believes we're moving in the right direction, multiculturalism, which is what the DA stands for.
Okay. Multiculturalism.
He references Trump. He says Trump is actually a good example of the dangers of nationalism because it incites hate. It is
that might be because he's not a Trump fan.
Sure.
So that's he's operating from a premise that the Trump presidency is bad, I suppose.
He also doesn't like the ANC.
Oh, I know he doesn't like the ANC. No. But he doesn't like the ANC for other reasons, valid, objective ones, where he says things like, we used to have a production economy under apartheid. And what the ANC needed to do is come in, train and upskill people to take over that production economy so that we could keep producing most of the stuff we used to produce. Right? Makes sense? Instead, we have, under the ANC, built a consumption economy where we've got the highest paid public servants in the world, bar none.
Relative, percentage-wise.
Yes, percentage-wise. No, of course, percentage-wise. And he's saying it doesn't make sense for a country that's where we are to be paying our public officials what we are paying them, plus the perks that come with the job. He's just like, we shouldn't be playing that game at all, but we've been playing it for 30 years, and despite the fact that it is destroying us, nobody in power or in charge wants to give up that for the betterment of the nation. The other thing that he speaks about is, I actually stole, from him, my whole stance on, the skills development thing like we discussed on the last show. It's one of the points that he raised where he said, you don't just throw away people who've got skills. You don't just chase them. You don't just say, please leave. And you don't just say, give me what you've got. I'm taking over now. You need to utilize those skills because skills are rare. Skills, talent. These are things we need to utilize for the betterment of the entire country.
And protect and preserve.
Yes. Now, under a nationalism banner, like put America first, Trump is saying America for all Americans. Bring back American jobs. Bring back American manufacturing. Bring back American energy. And make America great again. Okay, what it's going to do with his tariffs that he's implementing and his foreign policy agenda, he is trying to strengthen America where he's playing this deal-making game with the EU, with China, with Canada, with all the countries that he's threatened tariffs against to say, okay, guys, we can play this game, but you are going to start giving us a better deal or else let's see who breaks first. America is stronger than all other nations. You understand? You're going to get into one of those legal battles like we mentioned earlier, where you're going to run out of resources before Vodacom, my brother. Take the deal. You understand?
Huge trigger that.
Okay? But you understand? You know that's the game they're playing.
Yeah.
Fortunately for him, he's got the backing. But if he didn't have the backing, that man would have settled for 5 bars 10 years ago. Because you're going to run out of money. You cannot go up against this giant. America is that giant.
Has it been
and
20
most
years?
countries...
Makati.
Almost.
Been a long time, sorry.
It's been a long time. At least it's about 20 years now. Most of these countries that Trump is in these tariff battles with, right? They know that if we go into this thing of playing a game of chicken, we're going to lose. Canada knew they're going to lose, they reneged. France knew they're going to lose, they said, aye. All of them.
You think they've reneged? I see Canada fighting back.
Cool story, bro.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know about reneged.
What I'm saying is...
But I hear
all
what you're
of
saying.
them, okay, let me use
strong.
a better example like Mexico.
Sure.
Panama. The man said...
Those are same time. They'll agree to the deal same time. But those are
right?
have no choice.
Because they're even smaller.
Yeah, 100%.
Now France and them, Canada, they have to act strong. They have to act tough.
They're coming together. I don't know if you've seen.
No.
EU and Canada are actually revolting against Trump.
Let them.
No, I hear you.
Yes. You know what's going to happen? They will lose. Because America is a very, very powerful nation. Now, back to Trump's policy of America first. If we had to start putting South Africa first, right? That would mean all of our focus is on employment generation, right? We need jobs. And we need to bring back the things that made us strong. So we've got this amazing rail network that's fallen to pieces. Why is that rail network there? It's there to get shit from point A to point B in the cheapest and most efficient way. Why are we not fixing it so that we can move stuff around?
And they're all linked. If you think about, if you fix the railway, you lessen the accidents that are taking place on the road. You are lessening the amount of fixing that has to take place. You're
because that road transport thing is ruining us.
There's an extra link of how much money you can save just from putting back the rail.
Now, instead of doing that, what are they doing? Look at the priorities of the ruling party, of the governing party. I just don't see a restoration of the rail infrastructure being one of those priorities. But we can all agree here that if we have to restore that, it takes a massive strain off the roads. You understand? These are the benefits that it comes with. That's it. And this is what it does for the economy, number one. Number two, Metal Steel is closing there, or is already closed. You know, the big steel manufacturer in Vaal. Because what do we do?
That's in Newcastle.
Yeah, why? Ngoba we import cheap steel. You see, that's not good. We import cheap steel, we've destroyed that whole industry. You know Dunlop in Newcastle?
On your way, is it Newcastle? Ladysmith? Is it not Ladysmith?
Isn't it Newcastle?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think Nazi Dunlop is on your way to...
Oh, Ladysmith, yeah. Or Dandy.
Okay.
Anyway.
Either way, in Northern KZN.
Yes, there's a Dunlop in Northern KZN that's been there for years. I know because my cousin works there. That Dunlop is on its last legs, right? And there's a lot of jobs there. The reason is that tires are now just imported from China. Get those cheap shit, Nankang and all these cuck brands coming in. And those are the ones that people buy.
Okay, Trump.
Right? No. Those are the ones that people buy. And while we're getting these cheap tires in, we're losing jobs and we're losing an industry that we used to have of one of our own. You understand? Trump is saying, stop that shit. America's gone through the same thing. That entire flippin', what do they call it? The Rust Belt, all those towns in America where there used to be a flippin' timber logging Ntontoni there, like Sappi. What do they call it? Like a paper mill. And that closed because they've moved those jobs overseas. There used to be like a VW of sorts, like a Utenhage vibe, where cars were assembled and this was done. Like Detroit was this manufacturing hub. All those jobs are gone because it's cheaper in China. He's saying we're putting a stop to that now. What it's going to do for America and Americans is it's going to improve their lives. What it's doing for the rest of the world is everyone is pissed off at him because he's switching up to be America first. How long can America afford to just be the flippin' NGO of the world? They can't.
And Trump is it's the NGO of the world, man. America.
But not by accident. Sorry, Dunlop is in, I see Ladysmith here. In 2023, there was a call to invest 1.7 billion to expand tire production in Ladysmith. Anyways, please continue.
Yes. Anyways, my point is, as long as we keep We are destroying our national potential, right? By importing everything because it's cheaper instead of building here. Upskill, build, manufacturing base, etc. Like create jobs for people, create employment. You know what I'm saying? That's what Mbeki speaks about a lot, is that after the transition happened, we stopped doing all that stuff. In fact, we didn't even focus on it at all. And now 30 years later, we've built this consumption economy where we have to keep the elites afloat. We have to keep things like BEE, which only benefits the elites. BEE is a shit show.
And he speaks about it there in the interviews. Like you've created your own class.
Yes.
Of Amapi. I'm saying it on SMWX, Meritocracy. You know, guys, you know what's puzzling me? It's, what do you guys think is the end game for the politicians? Because they're the ones that are closing all these things. Is it for them that, look, man, I can still survive. The amount of money that I've made, my family is going to be good. But the thing is, you still need to live in South Africa. That's the thing that's puzzling for me, that if you don't implement any of the things we're speaking about, crime then goes high.
Crime is already out of control.
You know what I mean? It's out of control. Then, so I'm trying to figure out, what is it that they are not seeing, or they refuse to implement. But now, don't they see that, look, man, this thing's going to flip on us after some time?
Yeah, but I think I'm going to have to make an individual video. Yes, I've got so much to say listening to you guys, but I realize I probably won't get a chance. Please carry on, Warras.
No. I would love to. I want to hear what you have to say.
I've got too much to say, man, but I don't think I'll be allowed. I'll end up speaking by myself. Please, go for it.
No, but I need to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. You don't want to respond to Tabs?
No. We're taking turns. No, Tabs and Leagues, Tabs and yes, with the end game.
I'm not going to share my thoughts because there isn't enough time. But I would still like you to answer the idea that Black South Africans are rejecting nationalism. And I'd like you to explain why you don't think the DA is the solution.
Black South Africans are rejecting nationalism because Black South Africans are still very tribal. Zulus like Zulus.
Do you agree with him?
With who?
With Mbeki, to say that they bought into it and now they're rejecting it. And nationalism does not work. I
don't think they ever really bought into it. But I think now they are actually, there's an active effort to make them abandon it. There's a lot of divisiveness that is playing out in them, especially on social media. Okay?
To not unite us as a nation.
To divide us as a nation. Okay. You know, anytime I see this fucking white black shit on Twitter, because I'm just like, oh God, this is not a priority. Racism is not a priority, my brother. Really.
For the ordinary person.
Cares? For the ordinary person.
You can be as racist as you want, call me names, but can we just get fucking moving?
Well, no one actually does that really in real life. When there is the isolated incident of somebody making a racial slur against somebody else, it's some fucking backwards Afrikaner there in the middle of nowhere.
But, you know what I mean? People complain about the system more than the...
Okay, cool. People complain about the system, but in order of priority, what do we need to fix first? Tebza just mentioned crime. While the system has been fucked, no one's been fixing the system. Now is not the time, because now we've got this, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. You know that game? You understand? You were hitting here the whole time. Yeah, the other moles are coming out. You're not hitting anything else because we have to focus on the system and the legacy of apartheid. And okay, let's just pause that for a bit, because right now we have a crime epidemic, we have a murder epidemic, we have a rape epidemic. These are things that I think are more important to people when they are happening at the rates at which they are happening.
Is there no direct link
between what?
The legacies of apartheid and what we have?
And rape? No, if there is, you'd have to explain it to me, my friend. I don't think so. Maybe a portion of it, but certainly not the overwhelming portion. Yeah, I don't see how. Let me rather say, perhaps I'm not informed.
You don't think our crime issue is directly because of socio-economic reasons, because of apartheid? And if the ordinary poor Black South African had a better life, number one, they'd probably vote better, so we'd have better borders. We wouldn't have an influx of people who come in and commit the crimes and all these things.
Okay, but has the ordinary Black South African's life gotten better or worse since 1994?
It's a good question. Someone asked this on social media. Normally, I'd say it's gotten worse. But because of the person who was asking, I found myself actually wanting to engage that question.
I think it's gotten worse, especially like at the individual level, sitting there in Deep Sloot. You know, this weekend, I spent the weekend in Alex, right? We're shooting in Alex. I haven't been to Alex for years. Sorry, Alex. we used to, Shimza and I used to do Sundays at Joe's Butcher every week in Alex. And that time I used to drive a 325. Or I had a few 325.
Okay, let's come down and stick to the.
Yeah, so Sundays.
Sivelelwe imoto za Warras.
Besivela kwa Joe's.
Usuwile manje ngibonile imoto yakho ngaphandle.
Hi,
please give Warras a job or something.
So what?
Intwana sing flames. I'm kidding.
That's a security vehicle.
Anyway, that's his excuse. Like say Warras uwile bafethu. Siyacela uCapitec ukhona sonifakela ama details ukuthi abuyele kwi325 bafethu sanicela.
Bafethu ngiyanicela. Yo, plus ama 325 ayabiza kulamalanga fine. Yo, they want like half a bar for a 325. Anyway. So to go there on a Sunday, it was a vibe. Due to get full sharp.
You won't
Sunday
forget your
sessions.
point. You won't forget your point.
No, I won't.
Okay, yeah. German brands are seeing their bumps in this country because of Chinese imports. I wanted to say earlier when you were speaking about imports, BYD, Build Your Dream, in China is murdering. And there's a clip globally. They've surpassed everyone. There's a clip of Elon Musk back in the day laughing at their cars.
Yes, when they asked him about, he's worried about BYD.
Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett are two of the investors in BYD. Americans, because America is always opposing in other people's things. But you mentioned Chinese
Trump
imports.
Trump is going to squash them.
You mentioned Chinese imports, and then you were like, cut tires. And immediately I was like,
let me not say
about Great Wall Motors, the Havals of this world, the Omodas, Cherry, Bake. These guys are killing the game. And yes, Hong Kong is Hong Kong until these guys improve. And then all of a sudden you're like, Don't I have 325, so it's only Beijing.
Yeah. And they have improved. I've been in Omoda. It's really not a bad car.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's
okay,
not bad.
Trump.
It's not bad for the money that you're paying.
Okay,
However, Mina, I would rather have a Hilux or an Isuzu.
Oh, that's Japan.
Than a GWM.
Oh, that's Japan.
Yeah.
Japan is number 2. China's 1. Japan is number 2.
Yeah, Japan used to be the king of manufacturing.
No, but
technology.
it's more because, you know, Zulu niggas, dog. It's like a brand loyalty thing. I would never drive a Omoda. Fuck.
Yeah, this is how Elon Musk, when they take the clip. I would never drive, and then Warras is there busy promoting. Omoda's got the greatest new. What?
The guy? Well, if they come with the check, you know what I'm saying? The chick is a chick, bro.
You're giving me a half gap again on Joe's Butcher.
Yes, so Joe's Butcher.
Wait, no, don't go there.
Not Joe's Butcher, sorry, Alex.
Yes, you gave me a half gap. I did a Twitter poll, which I love doing. 1,600 votes, over 1,600 votes. 66% of the people, I asked, if a friend or relative wanted to give you a deal in a government tender, would you take it? That you don't deserve. 25 million rand, the price have been paid, you're going to walk away with 3 million. 67% of the people said they would take it.
No,
67. 10% said they don't know. 10%, we know they know. And then 12% said they'd report. I was just going to this culture of corruption that we have where someone's like, depending on the amount, I'll take the deal.
I'll be in the 67.
I'll drive the Beijing and the Haval.
I'm gone.
We're in Alex.
Okay, we're in Alex, right? Now, from the last time I went to Alex, maybe also I used to always go at night. I don't know. But it looks bad. Bad. In fact, when you drive through Alex, Deep Sloot, certain parts of Soweto, Tembisa.
Let me not interrupt you.
Wait, right? When you just look ngamehla akho, you cannot with confidence tell me, no, these people are better off. I don't agree at all.
I just want to mention Alex and Deep Sloot. So there's a template for townships across the African continent. Alex and Deep Sloot, amongst others, are unique because that's not the template. Those places are pieces of shit. I apologize to everyone who lives there, but those places are pieces of shit.
They're informal settlements that got out of control.
Out of control, correct.
Yeah.
The informal settlements that got out of control. There's one coming up now in Innisfree Park. You can't even go to Innisfree Park anymore. Where we used to have events, it used to be Major League Gardens, the Siangoba Rally. 1 year, one of the after parties, Firkuk and Mahuta threw there was at Innisfree Park.
Innisfree was one of the watch parks during the World Cup.
Yeah, one of the, what do you call those things? Fan parks.
Fan park.
And it was packed, right? Innisfree, can't go to Innisfree anymore.
Do you know
Zandspruit? People are living on the banks of that river that runs through there. But do you know
Zandspruit?
Zandspruit, bad. I was out that side the other day. I went to... you go out to what's not Krugersdorp, what's that area? Muldersdrift side.
My favorite area.
Zandspruit, fucked. 2010-11, when I used to live at Jackal Creek, the Gulf Estate.
Yeah. Take it easy, Baba. Back with the 325.
325, Jackal Creek.
Yeah, we had the RS4 there, the M3. Yeah, hey, Jackal Creek.
Like say, Capitec, but for to some toleli Beijing ne omola.
Yeah, guys, hey, you got Angwile, hey, I need to mail something. Send the e-wallet. Let me give a phone number of someone else. And just be like, send the e-wallet to this number.
No, don't do
then
that.
Then they just lash out my baby mama with e-wallets. Yo, the bitch will be so upset.
Upset with my e-wallet.
Right. So,
Sure.
I'm going to keep my e-wallet out 15. Beep, 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 beep. 300, 150. My Pelel, 3,000. Anyway, so when I look at the townships and the state of the townships, right? And I was playing with these lighties that were there, man. We were filming something. So I was outside playing with the lighties. The lighty came to me and he was like, hey, what's your name? You know? But like in broken English, very broken English. And I was like, oh, no, my name is... I said something stupid, you know, joking with the lighty. And then he goes away, whatever. He comes back with like 15 lighties. And he's like,
Come on.
you know? Then he's like, Wemlungu. Right? This must be about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Now, on one hand, I was a bit upset that the first thing he thought about me, you know, when we meet each other, he's like, how? Right? He went to fetch his friends to say, hey, Zulu. You know what I'm saying? So that sidebar was just like, because he was like, tattoo type of thing, you know? Sure. Anyway, and I explained it to him. I said to him, I used to be colored, you know, I gave him the whole time.
You told him. So then I sat the young boy down.
So I sat the young boy down and I said, my son, that shit that they've planted in your head about umlungu, unjani, nomuntu omnyama, unjani, fuck that shit. You understand? You know? Then we went to the shop, we bought some fucking snacks and sweets and whatever. Great day for the lighties because they found a mlungu that speaks Zulu and they got some snacks out of it.
Come on, boy.
Right?
It doesn't get better than that.
But when I look at where those lighties are living, because we were within there, you know what I'm saying? One street away from where we were, it's just absolute squalor. Bad. And for me, that cannot be the life that the ANC has delivered to its people. And we still take them serious as a liberation.
A street away from center.
A street, my friend, you could walk to Grayston Drive from there. You know what I'm saying? Diepsloot is the same. Zandspruit is the same. As I say, when I was at Jackal Creek, Zandspruit was just one strip of shacks. It was small. Now it extends all the way from Beyers-Naudé to Malibongwe. And then immediately after Malibongwe, Diepsloot starts. By William Nicol. It was a mid-range. So that entire belt along the N14 highway, fucked. How did it get so out of control? Yeah. What took you so long to make progress to build houses for people so that they don't have to live in that? And then when you look at the houses that they've built for people, they've basically rebuilt the colored flats. A model that didn't work for the coloreds. They're giving it to blacks now.
Have you seen the flats in Westbury?
Those ones.
They also...
No, those Westbury ones, those are the ones that are the example of don't do this shit again. It's like the projects in America, like 64th and 63rd.
Even the ones there by close to Soweto Theatre. They've got the same model.
Those are the new ones.
Flats.
Yes.
Yeah, because I used to shoot a lot of Gauteng provincial stuff. And we used to, you know, go to these projects that they have. What's up, 1 million? No, by Soweto Theatre. Chablan Mall.
Chablan.
Yeah, Chablan.
Those flats, they're exactly that. And for them, it's like, it's this middle person. How much do they earn?
Yes.
They are missing middle. They are the missing middle.
The low-income housing.
Yes.
Low-income housing.
Yeah,
they're by on the way to Dobsonville. So driving Main Reef Road, past Fleerhof, my brother. From, I China Mall.
Sure.
China Mall, I say Malcolm on Main Reef. That whole left-hand side of the road past River Lee. Oh God, River Lee has an extension. On your way to Langlaagte.
I saw Gutigianyiwa there. Yeah, there's a China Mall on this side.
Sebawa Kenyi China Mall. There's a new one that they're building, right? Because the Chinese don't give a fuck. They're just building their stuff. But
I've seen that
River Lee
that place is
has an extension to River Lee called Zombie, where only zombies come from there. The Walking
Why
Dead.
is it called Zombie?
Bro, we deal with those ones outside the stadium, right? Because we do some of the parking lot deployments. Let me tell you something. I don't know what they smoke. but they're indestructible. World War Z. We've created, they've now evolved
Yeah,
into
amakundwana ngempela.
amagundwane mfana
Amaroto.
Singawazi nje kundwane nje like bro,
No,
you can hit them.
some of these guys they evolve. Abatholi COVID, abatholi flu, ne-HIV abayitholi. Yes,
Kodwa bayakhwehlela like they're born with TB.
sure.
Yeah, but
Angithi ibona
TB is their superpower.
Yeah,
So you don't want to fuck
so
with
okunye
them.
angeke akuthole.
No, mfana. Umuntu uzokukhwehlela mfana uzowa phansi. Shaywa.
Uthini Kevin Hart a bump bump.
Yeah.
A bump bump. If one of those niggas touches you, boy. But like say, how did you get a bump bump? I thought he was going to tell me a secret. He was like, hey, I was like, a bump bump.
Ilava ke. Yabo.
Yeah, Antwana bakuthinta bakukhwehlela those guys.
Khwehlela mfana
You're fucked.
uyashona. Gone. XDR. TB. Hey. Anyway, so that whole area, right? It's just like we're building more of it, not less of it. Now, there was an interesting plan that Trump touted that he got a lot of heat for, okay?
Sure.
And I was giving it serious thought. He said, we're going to go to Gaza. We're going to just move. Everyone must move, okay? Flatten the place and we build a fucking nice resort. There's going to be a resort. There's going to be hotels. You know, we're going to make that shit into like a Bali, right?
Oh,
And
Trump,
people were like,
Gaza.
there was even an AI video of how dope it's going to be with Trump. Uhleli
before and after.
Netanyahu
Yeah.
laphan, bayachezana ngepina colada. You know what I mean? And okay, cool. You know that guy. You can't. I don't know when he's trolling and when he's serious.
Sure.
But is that such a ridiculous notion? There's about 2 million people there in
Very
Gaza.
ridiculous motion.
Wait, there's about 2 million people, right? Let's say America pulls it off, hypothetically speaking. Let's say they pull it off. They move everybody out, and over a period of 10 years, they rebuild that shit.
build Dubai.
And it looks like
They build Sun
Cyprus.
City.
No, they build it like an island, like a Mauritius type of thing. You know, it doesn't have to be a Dubai type of thing.
Yeah.
Like a Mauritius type of thing. There's resorts because they've got that beautiful coastline, apparently. Right? I've never been to Gaza.
Yeah.
We should call
No,
John
we
Steenhuisen
don't
and
want
ask
to
him.
go to Gaza. No.
Right. So I'm saying, could we do that with Deep Sloot? We've got double the amount of people in Deep Sloot than you do in Gaza, but anyway.
There's a term for what you speak about. It's called gentrification.
Okay.
So when you come into a place, Hillbrow now, or Maboneng at some
We
point.
didn't even get to that part
Dude,
of town.
Maboneng tried, eh?
Yeah, Maboneng in perpetuity. You come in but there's a lot of cons in that. The people end up just becoming slave labor for whoever owns the what, and they can't afford the rent. Itupai, if you've ever been, there are so many foreigners and immigrants that work there. The average tourist that goes there doesn't know where these people live because it doesn't make sense. There's an underworld in Dubai that is
Bahlala
unknown.
ngale on the outskirts.
So the same thing would happen there. But the reason it's an issue in Gaza, outside of the good idea,
for
Trump,
sure.
is just that the people have not asked for it and they've not approved it.
You know,
Trump says, Deep Sloot, Alex, look, we're just gonna come build resorts, and we're like, that's not what we asked for. We just want decent homes, etc.
Okay, but how do we put the decent homes there? Abantu pay con.
Yeah, when are you just a capitalist?
No,
and
I
what?
want to know. No,
I'll explain.
This, this is a genuine question.
Let me engage.
I'm not being
let me engage
facetious.
on what you've said because I won't be able to say all these other things. Please remember that you haven't answered my two questions.
Wait, what was the...
No, I'll get you
No,
to
I
answer
told
them.
you nationalism, I think it's because people are tribalist at heart, bro. I think that's what it is. I think people are...
Is that not nationalism?
no.
Tribalism is tribalism.
not
Zulus want to be
nationalism.
around Zulu.
That's not nationalism.
Nationalism is I'm
It's the
proud to be a
Zulu
South
nation,
African.
But
no.
it's a Zulu nation.
Aye, that's a tribalism.
But you must understand the legacies, right?
I don't think you gave Warras the context of what Melody Mbeki is speaking about because the nationalism of 94 was the poorest, again.
Yes,
and
I did. Afrikaner
94
nationalism.
going there, the nationalism was on black
African
people.
nationalism.
Yes, African black people. So he's just basing it on that.
No, but
So-
he
so-
was saying it wasn't that. He said the ANC stands for African Nationalist Congress.
Yes, but the black people vote because they are black. That's where the nationalism comes in with what he was saying. So he's saying, so what Penn is asking now is that why have they fallen off? And I think it's because the black people who are part of the nationalism have let them down. I don't think it's because one is Kibapedi, Kimazulu. There's a point where we all congregate and saying we're voting for these people because they're black. All of us.
I don't
think
agree.
So?
That one, the tribalism thing is strong.
That's your answer.
That's my answer. I think the tribalism thing is very strong. In fact, I think it's not spoken about enough. Okay. The last time I heard it spoken about, and I mentioned that interview in our last podcast, is in that John Foster interview. When he was saying to that brood that was interviewing him, you're saying, you guys are coming here and you're telling us, cool, end apartheid, let everybody vote. But what you haven't factored in is the people who live in the Transkei are Xhosa people. The people who live in Natal are Zulu people. The people who live in now modern day Limpopo are Venda people. And he was like, these people don't want to mix with each other. That's why you have the Zulu men's hostel, the Xhosa men's hostel. They don't want to stay together, bro. And at any point when they do stay together, there's violence, there's problems. Yabo, Zulu zoti, Lompedi lo is putting muti for me, or vice versa, and shit hits the fan, right? To this day, let's look at just across the border. You know, how do South African black people talk about, treat, and regard Zimbabwean black people? You see what I'm saying? So it's not black is not enough.
And them with each other. The
Yes,
and the
so
Ndebelers.
black is not enough.
Hypothetically speaking, Warras, then, would you say, if we had, how many languages do you have in South Africa?
11, 12
If
with
we
the
had
sign.
11 parties, 12 with this, okay, 12.
No, not 12.
Okay,
Rather, let's just say 5 for ease.
Yeah, let's say 5 per province, per language. Let me put it like that. Do you think that people would vote for that specific party because it speaks their language? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't think they will.
I think
but
that
I
is
think
where the tribalism comes in. That if onali party ya Mazulu, we'll vote
they
for
all
Mazulu.
vote for IFP.
If onali party ya Mapedi, Botswana, will all go with that. And I don't think South Africa is at that point now. I don't see people in Northwest only voting for a president only for the Northwest. I don't see it.
No, neither do I. But I don't see Cyril Ramaphosa getting a lot of love from KZN.
Is it because he's not Zulu?
Yes, they love Zuma there. That's why the MK did so
You
well.
reckon
in
if
the elections.
Uzweli Mkhize was the leader of the ANC, they wouldn't have gone under 50?
No. Zweli Mkhize, it's a combination. It's Zuma's brand,
No,
Zuma's
don't compare with
legacy.
Zuma, sorry.
No, but
No, we have to speak about Zulu and Cyril. I'm just
Okay.
asking if you say Cyril is not Zulu.
Sorry, I thought you meant in KZN.
I just mean if Uzweli Mkhize was the leader of the ANC, you don't think the ANC would have gone under 50?
I think if the ANC had a Zulu leader, that might get a much higher percentage than they currently get, because Zulus are extremely tribal.
So if
in the
Dlamini Zuma-
tribalism battle,
Sure.
no, Nkosazana Zuma is a woman. We're
So
talking about
must be man
Zulus here.
and
Remember,
must
Penuel,
be-
you used to be a Zulu.
Hey, Warras.
No, you can hit me.
Guy.
I'm actually thinking of something that it's not a Zulu thing.
It's not.
No.
Most people
Gaten
vote
McKenzie
for men.
tried.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Most people vote for men, number one, and most Zulus vote for.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm
All
not going to
tribes
dispute
vote
that.
for men, though. All tribes.
That's
All
why-
tribes
that's
vote.
why I
Bro, even
posed this.
whites will vote for men over women. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Sorry, it is what it is. Sorry, ladies. You know I love you all.
I wanted him to share his views.
But
I understand
Sengisho-
why you disagree with him, and I agree with you. But his opinion is that based on Moletsi Mbeki, of which I've got my own view.
Yes, and I'm not sure if Moletsi Mbeki is factoring that in, but I'm sure he is, because he's a smart guy. I'm saying that Zulus, in the tribalism, let's call it so, nationalism was sacrificed for tribalism.
So the Zulus voted
Okay.
the Zulus voted for Ramaphosa once. And you're saying because of their tribalism,
I'm not saying,
they fell off, but instead of falling into the IFP, they decided to go MK.
They decided to go with Zuma.
Yep, that's not a Zulu thing. That's why I'm asking. To what
No,
who-
but
who
Zuma
thinks
is a
asking?
Zulu leader.
So
the
are the
Zulus-
leaders of the IFP.
I'm saying but they're not Zuma.
So
Then it's
Warras-
not Zulu.
If Mangosuthu Buthelezi was alive
Yes.
and 30 years younger, my brother, the IFP would be much stronger, because you comparing.
they lost-
You're comparing the there's a legacy to Zuma, Ramaphosa, Buthelezi. There's a legacy. Even Zweli Mkhize is not as high up brand wise as those oaks. But Baba Nayangit.
But you're now saying brand and not tribe.
No, a brand perhaps is the wrong word. I'm saying let's look at the brand of Zuma. Zuma belongs to the Zulu tribe. the brand of Ramaphosa does not belong to the Zulu tribe. So if they were going head to head for the presidency of the ANC,
Yes.
ceteris paribus, no state capture, corruption, and no buying of officials, Zuma will finish him.
So to answer,
He
to what
knows.
Debs, let me help you.
Okay.
Warras is contradicting himself. It's okay.
Oh, why?
The question was, Umweletsi Mbeki says the reason the ANC lost power is because people have lost faith in nationalism. And you're saying you think it's tribalism. It's okay.
No, I'm
But it
saying
sounds like you're
tribalism
saying
is a
it's not- it's
contributing factor. I thought you were saying what has replaced
saying it's because of
nationalism.
Zuma.
No, I thought that the question is what has replaced nationalism. In other words, Trump, nationalism, America first, America for Americans.
Sure.
Us, other than when rugby plays and we win, there is no sense of national pride. We agree? And I'm saying a big contributing factor to where the nationalism people are now going is the tribalism route. Zulus are Zuluing, Xhosas are Xhosaing, and Pedis are Peding.
No. People.
You understand? You're not going to win.
Okay.
No,
I'm just letting you know.
Wait,
if you want to keep going.
Wait.
Because we're going to spend a lot of time on this.
Wait. Can I just say this on that point?
Go for it.
No one is more tribal than Zulus. And Zulus make up the majority of black people. Meaning, if the Zulus are the only ones who tribalize, say the Pedis and the Tswanas and the Xhosas all say, you know what, this tribalism thing, let's leave it aside. The Zulus, they'll be the last to drop it. Okay? That's number one. And because they outnumber all the other black people, the numbers, when they decide to do that, when they decide to follow a tribal line, the numbers give you MK type of results. If the Pedis tomorrow had to wake up and say, we are all going to tribal, man, that's like 2-3 million people. It's not a lot of people. Compared to the Zulus, their numbers are just overwhelming. That's my thing. So if we go into a tribalism chat,
before I move on?
if we go into a tribalism chat, Debza, the Zulus are going to win by sheer weight of numbers. And I'm saying, as a Zulu, Penuel used to be one, he knows what I mean. You know, Zulus, bro, they're extremely tribal. If we get into a tribalism chat, then they become very tribal. Okay. They'll go along tribal lines before they'll go along nationalism lines. And I'm speaking about the collective, the majority, not the clever ones who listen to us and are on Twitter. Remember the voting populace is those guys in the rural areas.
100%.
And bona bangas shy of it. We can talk here all day. Oksalayo, that class of people that keeps voting in the direction of self-detriment. We cannot outnumber them.
Self-detriment.
Self-detriment. I just told you, Alex is a shithole, so is Deep Sloot. But they'll still vote for the same party that's putting them in the shithole. They have the highest rate of fetal alcohol syndrome in the world in Deep Sloot. In Anda, in KZN, they've got the highest rape rate in the country. You know, this per capita. But guess which direction they vote?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, guys, I'm not sure if you're realizing, but you are voting for your own self-detriment. Me and you, it doesn't matter like who wins, bro. Like our lives remain relatively unchanged.
You'd like to say one more thing?
No, I'm good. I get his
Are
point.
you sure?
I think he was solely focusing on the Zulus, but not necessarily.
I always am.
You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but not necessarily that if we had to vote per language, the Zulus would be the ones that would be the most honest. Go with the Zulus only. But I think the other tribes, I don't think they will. And that's what I'm saying.
And even if they do, the Zulus will outnumber them 6-1. 6-1, okay. Easy.
Yeah.
I disagree with most of the things Warras has said.
But that's good, Penuel. That's why I'm here. I'm here to show you the light.
Yeah, I think his reading of the elections, because that was the question, I think is wrong, and it's okay. But at least
and the second question was?
You got to say your piece.
I think people are over the I think even the Zulus, man, they're over this thing of I have to do it because it's of a certain Zuluness. I think Christians are also not even voting for a Christian party.
ACDP.
They are not even voting, but how many Christians are there in South Africa? There's a lot.
80% apparently.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is I think the population has gotten to a point where they want employment and they don't give a shit if it's from AfriForum, it's from whoever. They don't care anymore. They just want, we don't want crime. Can things be efficient?
You think that's why they didn't vote for the ANC?
Now, yes, I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think
that's your opinion.
I think things have went to a shithole
That's
to
crazy.
a point where people now are like, nah, I wouldn't have to vote for
We
that.
read politics so differently.
I
Yeah,
also,
no.
look, I don't agree with that,
Yeah.
Tibbs up. You know why? Because I feel like from a numbers perspective,
Sure.
the people who understand that and did vote that way
Yeah.
are not enough to sway the number.
The people that care about that.
The people that have knowledge of it, Penuel.
Okay.
So you've got, let's talk about the classes of people. Mbeki refers to the vast majority of the ANC voters. He refers to as the underclass. Okay? His word, not mine. And it's not designed to be
you say
offensive.
that's your boy, no?
It's my dude. Okay? What he says or what he means by the underclass is the very people that we just discussed, right? That live in Deep Sloot, live in townships in urban areas, not in suburbs, and live in rural areas. Now we are Zematateni lapho kwaPanya, Peguzulu, right? Those people,
Which area? Townships.
townships and rural
Yeah.
areas.
Matatian is a township.
Right.
Sure.
But saying townships, I said townships in urban areas. In other words, you live in Johannesburg, go to uhlale Sentin,
Sure.
uhlale Alex, no uhlale Deep Sloot,
Sure.
right? So laba bant laba, they are the underclass. They are the people that are very poor, unemployed, and hoping that the ANC, who promised they would, is going to get them out of this situation. They perceive white people in general and the DA to be apartheid. White people are going to bring apartheid back. Oh my God, we have to vote in this direction. They are the people that are fooled by that type of rhetoric that the ANC and other parties espouse on their campaign trails when they say shit like, white people are going to bring back apartheid and lines of that nature. Okay, they are the people that believe all white people to be racist. They are not exposed to white people at all. They live in fucking Deep Sloot. They don't have a job, so they hardly come out of Deep Sloot. You understand? So they don't really move from Deep Sloot to Kai. When they know someone or have a friend or their bra comes from wherever, they either meet that person at the taxi rank in Hillbrow. You've seen what that looks like. There's no white people there either. They have no real life experience with any white person. So they believe what they've heard and what they perceive white people to be in their minds. So they are gaslit and they are fed a narrative that white people are your enemy. They live there. They never see white people, so they never come into contact with them, so they don't really have any negative experience.
That's why right now, even when that kid saw you, they said umlungu.
Thank you.
In 2025.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because that kid lives in Alex. He
Yeah.
doesn't leave Alex. He goes to school in Alex. He plays in the road in Alex. He operates in Alex his whole 6-7 years of his life. He sees me, and it's like the first person of a lighter hue that he's seen in a very long time other than on TV. Okay? Right. Now, that class of people, they are almost kept so far away from the educational diaspora that we cannot convert their vote because they just simply don't know enough. And we can't access them. How are we going to access them? You can't even drive in that place. There's no way you're going to go on a door-to-door campaign in Deep Sloot, bro. It's
I'm glad
it's
you
actually
raised that.
impossible to traverse.
I'm
So
glad
it's
you raised
almost
that.
like by design, they've kept their little voting block on social grants and stuck in a shithole.
Yeah.
Because when it's voting time, you will vote for us again. Because we're the only motherfuckers who come in here and give you a social grant.
Yeah.
What you gonna do, nigga? You see? You are stuck. In the rural areas, now we are. Those people, same thing. They never see white people. They never have a lived experience of what other cultures do. They only know what they know. And what they know is ANC. Because the brand, Mandela, they liberated us. It's like brainwashing. You must watch a series called Chernobyl. It's about the Soviet Union when the Chernobyl disaster happened. And it speaks about how these communist ideals of indoctrinating people into a way of thinking. When the nuclear power plant explodes and it's fucking leaking nuclear matter across the whole of the Ukraine, modern day Ukraine, at the time it was whatever, Chernobyl was in whatever, what was it called, Czechoslovakia, or whatever it was called those days, but it was part of the Soviet Union. The nuclear physicist who goes to the site to go and see what happened sees that, this thing is spewing nuclear waste into the air. And he goes to the head of nuclear guy to go and say, bro, we need to issue an emergency warning now. We've got to evacuate literally 300-kilometer radius of people or they're going to get sick. And that guy is like, we can't do that, my man. If we do that, we'll be admitting that our nuclear facility was a fuck up. Are you mad? He's like, bro, the ship has sailed. The thing is exploded. if we don't do it now, do you understand what I'm telling you? And he's like, do you understand what I'm telling you? Politically, there's no way I'm going to do that. I'll lose my job. And he's like, yeah, but I'm a fucking nuclear physicist, my brother. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And he says, and I used to work in a shoe factory. To the workers of the world. And he drinks his drink. He tells them to fuck off. Do you understand? He's been installed there because he's a cadre.
Yes.
You check. He's an idiot. But he's got that position.
He's definitely not an idiot.
He's an idiot.
Definitely not.
Imbecile. Knows fuck all about nuclear physics.
Sure.
Right? And now he has to deal with the nuclear physics matter. Right?
But he's here for political and he's focused.
He's here for political reasons. He's been installed. He tries now and he goes to, the board with the president, Yeltsin, and the KGB head
Warras.
and Spanban. And they're like, what happened at the facility? And they're like, no, sir, just some spillage of Ntontoni and this. And this guy is sitting in the meeting, the nuclear physicist guy, and he stands up and he says, I'm sorry, I can't. This thing exploded. And the reason it exploded is because of the way we build our nuclear facilities. We use boron instead of Ntontoni. And we don't put it in the manual. You see, because they can't declare that. And when those poor guys that work at the facility were busy pressing buttons, they didn't know that by pressing those buttons, they were actually triggering the bomb. Because we told them, this place cannot blow up. It's impossible. And in that communist agenda, you cannot deviate from the party policy line.
Yes.
Right? They install people, can't deviate from party policy line. If you do, you die.
Yes.
Brainwash the entire population. Such that even when this man was screaming and shouting to officials to say, guys, I know what I'm talking about. I studied this thing. I built nuclear reactors. They just ignored him and eventually he was taken out the game.
Well
right?
done. Well done to the people that took him out.
Yeah.
They took him out. Yeah. Anyway, well, not well. Watch the show. We have a situation here where we have this system that's been built that keeps the underclass, poor black people, so far from an education or a level of understanding of what is actually being done to them and how the money that should be going into creating opportunities and employment for them and improving their areas is being put into BEE deals of unfathomable amounts of money. And certain connected individuals in this elite sector are making all of that money and are fantastically rich.
Yes.
And they are living with rats the size of fucking puppies.
That's what's up.
You understand? And what do? Because they have no knowledge, because they never get out, because they don't know any white people or colored people or anybody else. They just know their little community. When voting time comes around, who visits them with T-shirts in G63s? Those niggas. And they're like, hey, blacks, what's up? It's us, your Oaks. Yeah. What's the story? Na Siskipa, na Kugul, Puzan.
You know what you're saying is so hectic. We should have show called them then. They were dealing with issues of SASA. So if someone is not...
child grants.
Yeah, grants. All grants, all sorts of grants, Where if someone is misusing the grant, you call us like, man, this person is chowing them out of the
using
grant.
It for hair.
Exactly, using it for hair, alcohol, blah, blah, blah. We went to a house where there were, if I remember, I think 20 or 22 people that stay in a forum house. Ne?
Yes.
Forum house. Out of that 22, I think 16 of them won the social grant. When we calculated the amount, it was 11,900 a month. Just from that household alone in that one street. Imagine how much money that is for the year. You're right. When the NC goes back to that family, and it's not only them, it's probably that whole street. When the NC goes, be like, hey man, there's this 22 people in this household, they want to vote for the NC.
Because
maybe it's an
that
RTP as well.
gives them their grant.
Exactly.
And what does it do?
Yeah.
The grant, remember, it doesn't empower you to do anything. It keeps you here.
Just
it keeps
water.
you like in survival mode.
Just keeps your head above water so you can
And
breathe.
because you don't know anything different, you like it.
Yeah.
Have you seen Dave Chappelle's Iceberg Slim? In the special, he talks about that a pimp named Iceberg Slim.
Okay.
And he speaks about this guy where a junior pimp went to a more senior pimp, this Iceberg Slim guy when he was coming up. And he was like, man, how do I keep my bottom bitch in line? You check. Because he said, every hoe has got like mileage, right? The term is mileage on a hoe.
Sure.
And he's like, her limit for mileage is 500 fucks. At 500 fucks, she's going to lose her mind. So when she gets to about 450 fucks, you need to start looking at how do you phase her out and how do you phase in the new bottom bitch, because that one is a waste now. Right? Okay? I know it's very offensive, but it's pimp terms.
Sure.
Okay, go watch the special in case I butcher it. Then he goes on to say that this guy, Iceberg Slim, was faced with the problem. His bottom bitch was now at 498 fucks.
Jeez.
And she was unraveling. And she was like, I don't want to do this shit. I hate you. And I know what you do behind the scenes. And I know because she's his bottom bitch. She's got knowledge of his entire operation.
Yeah.
Now he's like, Ish, I'm not ready to get rid of this one. I don't have a replacement for her yet. Now, how do I extend her motor plan?
Sure.
Right? And he goes to the senior pimp, and the senior pimp says, okay, this is what you do. He says, you beat that bitch with a coat hanger. Okay? And then you run her a bath, and you buy her a nice dress, and you pamper her, and you say sorry. She's going to have the bath, and she's going to put on the nice dress, and she's going to spend the evening with you at a romantic dinner. And the next day, she'll forget that you were the one who murdered her in the first place. You're programming her. You understand? So you fucked her up, and then you made her better.
Yes.
Right? And then the end story of how he extends her mileage, he basically like tricks her in this whole elaborate scheme where she believes that she goes and she sees this last client that he asked her to see, and then she can go. She wants to go. And the client dies while she's fucking him. So who does she call? Iceberg Slim. She's like, I don't know what's happening. You, please help me. And he's like, okay, don't worry. You know me. I'm with you till the grave.
I've got
got your back.
You're my girl.
And he calls a guy to check the body and confirm that, he's dead. That's the doctor. He calls other guys to come there and roll this body up in a carpet and go dump it. He calls another broer, you understand, to come and rearrange the room and set it up properly. So in her mind, she believes he just saved her life by dumping the body and paying off officials to keep her safe. Guess what? Gets another 500 fucks out of her. Gets to keep his bottom bitch. You understand? But it's like a system of abuse because the guy that was pretending to be dead was his bra. The doctor who came to assess him was his bra. And the Owens who came to roll him up in a carpet and take him away, also his bras.
Sure.
He created this whole elaborate scheme. Similarly, I believe that our poorest of the poor are the bottom bitch. They're the loyal motherfuckers that vote for these ones every single time.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they live in absolute squalor. Despite the fact that their risk of being raped is higher than anywhere else in the world. And despite the fact that they are being murdered at rates exceeding Gaza. Because blacks are dying, my brother.
Sure.
Those murder numbers that we put up every year, it's blacks, poor ones. They're getting murdered left, right, and center disproportionately to everybody else.
Yes.
Farmers and whoever else is being murdered are not being murdered at the rates of poor black people. They're murdering each other.
Poor black men.
Thank you. Black men primarily, but also, fair enough, the rate of women is far lower, but a lot of the instances of GBV and GBV as a social ill, nothing is really done about it, and people live really shit lives stuck there in hell. And the people that their leaders that come and visit them in G63s when it's voting time don't give a fuck because they are paid. They got money like dust. They are Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim didn't give a fuck about this hoe. He just needed her to keep fucking people so he could keep making money. These ones just need these people to keep voting so that they can stay in power. The longer they stay in power, the longer they continue eating. And what do they need to give them so they can stay in power? A SASSA grant and that level of survival that's just good enough to keep your head above water. Not real change, not opportunities. Do you understand? And not education and not knowledge. It's very fucked up. We are being pimped. We are fucking prostitutes. Oh my God. Beat me with a coat hanger, then run me apart. I know, bitch. Fuck these niggas. I see what they're doing.
I won't be able to go through all these notes, and I'm going to go make this Ndlovu Mbeki video by myself. It's very important to me because it's very triggering, and I'm going to share my views, which are contrary to your views, and I think contrary to my views at Debza, on what the national elections meant to me when I analyze. I'm going to let you answer my last question.
Can I ask your points on that Ndlovu Mbeki?
Yeah,
a question.
We'll have to speak about him maybe on another day because.
Do you know him
personally? No, not at all.
Do you have proximity to him at all? Debza, we are math.
I don't know why you want to meet him.
I would like us to meet him. I want you and I to sit with him.
That'll be nice.
Who sits with him and we
Sizwe
have a
Mpofu
chat?
Walsh has access to him.
Is he your bra?
I
Do I look like I'm bras with Sizwe Mpofu Walsh?
yes.
He doesn't look like that. Do I look like the type of guy Sizwe Mpofu Walsh would come home with and say, Dad, this is my friend Warrick?
This is Warrick. He comes from like
No
a dirty
chance.
part of town, but he's a,
But Sizwe, I can be your friend, my bra. I'm just saying.
Maybe you
that
can ask Sizwe to hook you up.
me visiting your house might be frowned upon by your parents, brother.
The one thing I don't do anymore is I don't ask favors of people because
Ngambuza, I mean, unai number. Me, I'll ask him.
sure. No, nothing wrong.
Yeah, but then
With that at all.
Slala naye lo baba lo, mina now.
No, it'll have to be just
I'm
you.
in.
No,
It'll have to be just you.
Aye.
Penuel bekho.
No, I
Upemela
can't. I can't.
Aye, was of whom.
No, I won't. I'm gonna make the
fine.
video and you'll understand why. If I
want you to make the video.
If I sit with Thabo Mbeki, we're gonna debate
That's good.
throughout. No. It's meant to be a good thing. I don't know if he's a debater, so I also have to be sensitive to his personality. I don't want to offend people. There are people who
And
you invite EFF guys.
Ubaba, yeah.
The EFF guys are happy to go. Some of these other guys are happy to go. The last thing I want is to invite Ubabo Mdala and to push back in a way that he deems disrespectful and people associated to him deem disrespectful. That I wouldn't want that. And I know if we're sitting with him, you're going to want to praise him, you're going to want to defend him. I'm going to end up getting very angry.
No,
So
I would want to sit here.
I'd prefer...
You sit there, he sits here. You guys debate, me and I'm the mediator.
No, when you can just chat to him yourself.
I want to chat to him offline, man, because
That's okay. Not with me. It won't work.
No, I.
When
don't
a pen, you don't fight these people. Now you're just saying, once a person you've studied them quickly, you adjust fast. So I think you will adjust as well with him.
And it's sad for me, this thing you're raising, because it's very true. And I blame the audience.
Okay.
So I'm not Piers Morgan. I think Piers Morgan takes it too far.
He goes.
Personally. And I don't
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
does.
I'm not sure Utembeni. By Utembeni, I don't know if there's like producers that soften the blow after he's done what it is. Maybe they brief him. Hey, Piers goes off and whatever. So just don't worry about it. I don't have that person and I'm not that person.
He talks shit with the absolute confidence.
I can do that. I can do that and I can push back. And initially when I started podcasting and making videos, it was one of the reasons people wanted me to sit with people. So I'll invite Julius here with everything that I've said, criticizing him. I can give it to him here. But I've realized the audience has got his fans who would like to hear him speak. They've got people who are like, don't interrupt the O. There are people in South Africa because we like pretending. So when I debate, it's going to be like, but you're disrespectful. Why did you invite this guy if you're going to, it's like, then what's the point?
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah.
a debating culture here in South Africa in terms of like people having different opinions and being set in one room.
Not in the way that it's done. So I'd need to be mates with Julius and then invite him here. And then after
It's like
that,
you
I'm
can't
like,
invite
"Say,
your
but
enemies.
Ooh, yeah. Or people you disagree with,
People
not
you
necessarily
disagree
enemies.
with, yeah. Let me not say enemies. Sorry.
Yeah.
I need to earn the license to disagree with you and disrespect you. Otherwise,
Oh, not disrespect. Let's not say disrespect. I mean,
it's disrespect to the audience, not from
okay,
you.
Okay. Because me,
Because
I
you
don't
want to
think
leave here pissed, and there are so many other people you have access to that I want to access that will never speak to me because you said something. So I'd rather when they speak to you, fuck that boy. You're like, that's my boy.
No, exactly. But
Don't worry about him.
Baba, he doesn't give me that energy. For
You-
me, no, I don't know him.
Yes.
I've only watched interviews and lectures and stuff that he's done. But the energy that he gives me, and if you listen to the long form lectures that he does, is the way that he speaks. He's trying to educate people with real life experiences as having been there from apartheid, exile, CODESA, governing party, his brother's presidency. He's been through it all, but he's one of the only voices who commentates from the outside. He's like, hey, me, I wasn't in this thing. I didn't want to be in. I'm a businessman. I'm an economist. I'm an intellectual, whatever. I wanted to be here. And I was like, okay, cool. And we're all brothers.
Yeah.
We are going to implement policies asiza la ngaphandle. Mina ngizobe ngila ngaphandle ngisiza abantu ukwakha izinto zabo based on the policies that the governing party implements. I fail to see those policies. In fact, I've seen them just go this way. While we are going this way and we're trying to build manufacturing and this and that and the other and create jobs, my oaks are going the other way. So from the outside looking in, this is what I've seen and this is what I've been privy to. That's why I feel like bringing him here, he can give, and you and I can then ask him questions, challenging questions, to say, But you were there, Mus, at Kodes. You see, he doesn't have a horse. He doesn't have a dog in this fight.
Maybe I'm still angry. But for now...
Which part made you angry?
So this is what I'm going to try and answer now.
Oh.
But I want to do Warras because I think we've got 10 more minutes. To very briefly state why he doesn't support the DA, which Mbeki does. He supports the DA.
I don't.
You want to answer first?
Let me answer. It's a very. Okay. I don't think it's a long answer. This is my thing with the DA. I feel like oftentimes the DA is the victim of shoot the messenger, and it's usually in the form of Helen Ziller. When Helen Ziller speaks, I think that auntie a lot of the time speaks a lot of sense. I think she makes very good points.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I love how she analyzes certain things, and then the way she articulates these things that she's analyzed, puts it forward and says, this is the vibe, this is what I see, and this is why it's happening. But then when she says, this is what I think we should do about it, we differ, right?
She's one of the most honest politicians we have
100%.
In terms of assessing
and situations. There's a respect that I've seen. I don't care who agrees or doesn't, but there's a respect. I remember seeing during lockdown when they wanted to arrest Zuma, she wrote an open letter where she spoke about, you need to understand who Zuma is in Nkandla to Zulu people as a leader before you can start saying, constitutionally, we need to go and arrest this man because what is the word?
Contempt of court.
Contempt of court. For the people that support Zuma, you saying this is why we're supporting Zuma is not enough. Because they don't view him the way you view him as a constitutional delinquent.
Yes.
Right? And, it was a long time ago, but if you read that letter, I was like, this fucking auntie knows what she's talking about. Then there's this respect they have between Zuma and Zilla, that I think is there. It's like, they don't have to be friends. You understand what I'm saying? They are opposing political parties and opposing political views, but they have a common respect for each other. I think Ubaba sees what I see and you see and others see in her.
Julius Malema as well. It's got respect for him, yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? But she's no longer in charge. John Steenhuisen is in charge. And John Steenhuisen gives me installed vibes.
She's not in charge of what?
The DA.
You believe so?
No, she's not. She doesn't hold the title of being in charge. And even if she was in charge, my thoughts and feelings would be the same.
Okay.
I think they were on a good run. I think they were on the best run when she was in charge. But because she's a woman and she's white, shoot the messenger. No one is trying to hear that shit. No one is actually listening to what she's saying and what she wants to implement because it's her. Do you understand? So there, I believe they lose a lot of points. Now she's in the background in charge, but John is the face. So for most people, John is in charge. Okay. We can have our views on whether we think he's in charge or not. I don't think he's in charge either. Sure. I think he's like a plant. He was installed there. I don't think he has a single policy that he's come up with by himself. And right now in the GNU, the final nail in the coffin for me, in the DA's coffin, has been, we were sold a dream of the elections that the GNU is going to be this caucus of accountability. Yes. By us co-governing with the ANC, who didn't win in an outright majority, we will be able to put in controls and call them out on certain things. And we will come together and agree on decisions, from the placement of ministers to big policy decisions like the change in the VAT rate or fucking expropriation of land without compensation being put out in a tweet. We'll be there. They have not been there, my friend. You
don't trust them?
No, I don't. Then the other thing is, during this Ukraine war, there's another thing that they did that pissed me off. John Steenhuisen went to Ukraine to sit on his haunches and play with sand. What the fuck was that? Just come home, bruh. Why? Because they are heavily funded by Western interests. You see, that's a dead giveaway.
They're pro-Israel and pro-Ukraine.
Heavily funded by Western interests. The Ukraine war, anybody that still believes to this day that war is anything other than a money laundering expedition is a damn cunt. Fuck Zelensky. That whole thing was just set up so they could launder money. I firmly believe that. They had no business.
Who's laundering?
Who's laundering? The Americans. Americans have sent fucking almost 300 billion that way. And then, like, if you go on like Reddit and these other sites and you go and look at like some of the stuff that isn't reported in mainstream media. The amount of weapons that America has sent to Ukraine that are ending up in Africa, that are ending up in Afghanistan.
Our Lord of War, Nicolas Cage.
Lord of
Yes.
War. Yeah.
How is that stuff getting there? That's number one. Zelensky's net worth, red flag. His wife and him going shopping, doing Vogue covers, all of this shit. It's all of this stuff that happens around the war. Like outside of the war, that just makes you think, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
Your movements don't make sense
Yes.
for a president
There's
that's in war.
Yeah, there's American senators and politicians, when you hear them speak of the war and how they're encouraging the purchase of weapons and artillery and the funding of Ukraine, they've been very vocal about wanting to support this war where people are dying. Like Trump said, people are dying here, bro. And what is Ukraine really achieving? Russia is essentially, when you fight with your lighties, like my sons, I put them in boxing when they were very young. But when we're playing together, I hold them on their head like this. When you're a lighty, they hold you on your head and then you go,
Shy.
yeah.
Shy.
That's what Russia is doing to Ukraine. Then every now and then Ukraine lands a strike. Then Russia just says, okay, pick up the phone. America, send more weapons, send more money. Why? Because if Russia wanted to really switch it up and escalate, they've got more soldiers, they've got a much better prepared army, they've got more weapons. If they wanted to smite Ukraine, they could. But Putin is purposefully holding back. And if you watch a lot of commentators who just come with common sense and reason, people like Jeffrey Sachs, go and watch what these bullies are saying. These are people that were there from the beginning of this journey in the late 80s that say, hello, this is a much deeper story. But if we just go from 2014 till now, this is what actually happened and this is why Russia attacked. That version makes more sense to me. The DA completely ignores that version. They throw their whole lot behind Ukraine. Why? Because they have a vested interest somewhere, somehow, which I don't know. Allegedly. This is my opinion on the matter.
From what you've seen with the COVID mania and Russia and Ukraine and those things, does it make you question all the history we've been taught about past wars and
it does.
pandemics?
It does, definitely.
And now you start asking questions about everything.
Now you start asking
The
questions about
plagues
everything.
and Ebola and
Yes,
AIDS and the Roman
yes.
Empire and how it was built. You're like, if things are like this now where we can see, maybe all the stuff in history was just a perception.
I saw a tweet along those lines. I think Elon Musk tweeted. He said, like with what we know about the news media now, where they report lies and misinformation and sell it, propaganda. Imagine history, the history that we've been told. How much of it was propaganda? How much of it was misinformation? How much of it was edited to suit a narrative that we need to believe today? You know what I mean? In order to get us to do certain stuff.
Yeah.
And lastly, with the DA is that if you go to Cape Town, I think they are praised and lauded for how they run Cape Town. It's like their claim to fame. The areas in Cape Town that are nice are self-sustainable. The people that live there are people of means. They're middle to upper class. On the middle side, they're higher middle. And on the upper side, they're upper, on the highest level. You know what I'm saying? Talking about some of the most expensive, most beautiful properties in the world along the Atlantic seaboard, all foreign owned.
That's correct.
Right? Managing that is not a struggle because those people manage that shit themselves. They've got their own security. They've got their own gardening and maintenance. They even fix their own fucking potholes when and if they arise. You understand? These are self-sufficient people. They exist in that hub where all the businesses that are there are their businesses. It's their people. Those businesses thrive because they're proximity to those people. Whether it's nightlife and entertainment, restaurants and hotels, bars, pubs, all of the shit that tourists come here for, the beach, etc. The DA doesn't even have to involve itself in that. Those people will sort it out themselves. What the DA does need to fix is those other areas. And those other areas, they do something similar to what these ones do. It's bare minimum for you guys. Shut the fuck up. We gave you toilets. While we live in squalor, and while the people on the Cape Flats are murdering each other at rates of like 70 to 100 people a day.
And the
what are they doing about that?
The murder rates in the Cape Flats are scary. Man.
And when you ask them, when the question is raised, they say, oh, no, but policing is a national thing.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but it's happening in your city.
People love that thing.
It's happening in your city.
It's not my responsibility.
Yes.
National must come in.
We
must work together.
I interviewed Bab Kenny Kunene like a few weeks ago, and he was telling me about how his portfolio now is the transport MMC, so he's
in
responsible
Johannesburg.
for a lot of the JRA shit, like from potholes to traffic lights not working, he's into njalo. And he was explaining ukuthi yabola ama traffic lights angapha fall under the city. Ama traffic lights angapha fall under the province.
Oh.
So on William Nicol.
Shit, I've heard that.
Yeah, on William Nicol. Ukusuka la highway, ukuya ngapha eMontikasini. National. Ukusuka la highway, ukuza ngapha towards town.
Bryanston.
Provincial. So when this traffic light is not working, Ketsu gets all the calls. Joburg. The fucking light's not working, the light's not working. Then they can't do anything about it because it falls under National's budget.
And they can't even
So
tell
what
you on
did
the
Kenny
phone.
Kunene do? He approached National with the plan and he said, give us responsibility for this light. We'll fix it. We'll invoice you for it. And then at the end of your fiscal year, you pay us for it out of your budget because you're supposed to be fixing it. Deal done. That's what they're doing now. So that whole stretch from William Nicol down past Leslie Avenue, Monte Casino will improve because they're on the scene. All they're saying is, give us the mandate to fix this way. Simple thing. Why can the DA not approach SAPS National and say, guys, we have a plan. We have a private security infrastructure that the city will fund to make the place safer. We are going to go in and we're going to fix this shit. They don't want to because those people are poor and nobody gives a fuck about poor people. It's what no one wants to admit.
My guest is here. I don't know if someone can open or what.
I can open for them.
Yeah,
I've got two things to say and I hope they don't go long. And I know Warras is going to want to jump in.
Yes.
I'll end with Mbeki.
Yes.
Number one, I believe on the African continent we are held hostage by two groups of people.
Yes.
The one group is not as influential, to be fully honest, but we tend to speak about them the most. The poor majority on the African continent hold us hostage from a voting democratic perspective because of all the things you've said. They rely on the RTP house. They rely on the social welfare. They rely on the social grants. So when it comes to voting, they have no choice. And it's one of the challenges of the middle class. When you speak about Alex, Deep Sluit, Zanspray, these places that are difficult to get into,
yes,
whether it's your DA and all these other parties, they don't make the effort to go there. They can cite whatever they want to cite. And this was one of the arguments, even leading up to the elections, that the most deepest of rural areas have what ANC people attending funerals,
yes,
ANC people doing door-to-door, ANC people giving out food packs and the like. So people like you and I, maybe part of the criticism is we're not having conversations in isiZulu so that we can reach a majority of Nguni-speaking people. They see us, but they're like,
maybe we can dub it ngama voice over artist.
Sure, that would be dope.
So daba kanjani? Till this day. Till this day.
Yinde lendlela. Esihambayo
inde. That's what made Zuma so powerful.
So we held hostage by poor people who, if you tell them the ANC is corrupt, they agree. They're like, Mvumelana now. You tell them these guys only care about themselves. They say, I agree. They say these guys work with rich white people. They're like, we agree.
Yeah.
These guys shouldn't be empowered. They're destroying the country. At some point, we'll have nothing. They're like, yeah, I know what you're saying, 100%. Then they're like, what is your solution? Because my kids have to go to school. They need to eat. I need an RTP house. Yes, you're telling me jobs will come. Our way, leadership.
Yeah.
Okay, until those jobs.
Yabona ke lokho baf. Angingeni ke ngoba okwamanje ngisawakha la endlini. Ingane zami phela zizodlani.
Until you have a solution for that. And the solution doesn't have to be grants, but whatever solution it is, you need to articulate it.
Yeah.
If we're taking away grants because we want to redirect into infrastructure or small business,
which we should.
What are you gonna do for me now? Because these guys are giving everything you said about them, Mbalula, Namachi Wagon, or Badelelo, Ramaphosa,
Sengikhuluma ngama-G-Wagon in general.
When I'm speaking about Mbalula and the t-shirts, what are you gonna do for men? We don't have an answer as the middle class. That's the one group, and that group we speak about a lot. And to be honest, we actually alienate them and we're very disrespectful, specifically certain white people. Yeah, but words like underclass. But you see the people, I mean, how stupid can you be to keep voting for the ANC? How stupid can I be?
we get offended.
Like, oh, okay. You can't but be offended.
Yeah.
Cabanga mfethu, ubuya olanda ama-ARV, ugogo wakho uqeda ukuthola ipension, you're living in an RDP, and this rich white person in Cape Town is coming to tell you I'm an idiot. And because I'm an idiot, I must be like, hey, let me vote for the DA because I'm an idiot.
No,
That'll
I'll
never
actually
work.
just get angry and I'll
I'm
vote
going to
for
vote
the
more.
I'm gonna vote more,
Bengithi
yeah.
angeke ngivote. I just heard Gaten spoke about this at Business News, that every time the DA attacks them, he's like, our people, when they hear that, they're like, hey, I'm definitely voting for this guy. Because if this white guy is saying this, or this white lady. So that's the one group holding us hostage. And they have no choice but to hold us hostage. And the challenge for us is to educate them, go to these dirty places, take your corporate speak, little clever black girl, ofundile. You have to go to your own extended family. But before you go there, give them a solution. Because you can't just tell them the ANC is bad. For now. In the future, you're going to build Dubai. But for now, give them a real solution.
Yeah,
and if you don't have one, the solution goes back to the ANC. You must tell them, I don't have one. They're like, okay, shoot this over the ANC.
But then it's the GNU's responsibility to take away that power that the ANC has by lobbying to cut social grants, as an example.
Then what
They
else?
need to have a future plan.
That won't work.
No, I'm using this.
Sure.
We use social grants as our example. So
Yeah.
I'm saying if social grants is what's holding them hostage, ngamula ma social grants. But have a plan.
Burn
No,
the country. Sure.
But it's not mine and your responsibility. It's our representatives in the GNU because at that level, that's where it happens. Penuel.
No.
Who speaks for the middle class then?
I'm telling you now, Warras, because we're speaking politicians. I don't believe in the GNU. I don't believe in the DA.
Well, neither do
So I can't say I'm expecting them. I'm speaking for a middle class across racial, because I'm going to speak about the other group, which is the rich. I'm speaking about Tuguti. We are being milked to death in terms of tax and labor by the rich for their businesses, and then our tax is screwed out of us, sustaining the poor. And I'm saying these so-called representatives, they funded by this class I'm going to speak about now. So their priority is also not the middle class.
No.
For us, it's enough to threaten us with, you'll go to jail if you don't pay your taxes. If you don't pay your traffic fine, the cops might stop you and we panic. Oh my gosh, I've got fines.
So it's like there's an up line and a down line. We are in the down line. We're funding that way.
Yes.
But we're also funding that
100%.
way. And the people that we're funding in this one are reliant on these ones.
Correct.
Because they're funding downwards.
Yes. So we need to find a solution. It needs to be us. Me, you, and other people who listen to us. They're like, hey, Warras must go into politics. I'm like, no.
No. Me, you, and Debs are fuck it, bro.
This is the bigger issue we have. You said you opened the gate?
I did. Yeah.
Hopefully, thank you.
They're in the car.
This is the bigger group, and that's more problematic. And I believe in aggressive, brutal self-accountability. Everything is my fault. Murders in the Western Cape, in the Cape Flats, politician corruption, someone got hijacked that I know. Everything is my fault. What am I doing or not doing that led to my cousin in MCing getting raped? That means there's something I'm doing. I haven't uplifted my family, or I haven't given them jobs, or I'm not voting right, or I'm not taking a gun, I'm not becoming a dictator. But everything is my fault. But in saying things are your fault, I also realize some of the role players in that. Africa is designed to not rise to anything. And this design is not by the poor, idiotic social welfare. Those guys, to be honest, any system you give them, we become Islamic tomorrow and everyone must become Muhammad. If it's going to get them a job,
they'll do it. Get them a meal.
If apartheid did better with Afrikaans and they said if you study Afrikaans, you get a free scholarship and you get a free job afterwards.
Yeah.
Blacks would have been like, it would be game over. It's just because they used violence and people got angry. Local, not so much. More foreign interests need this continent to remain at the bottom. Whether it's through currency manipulation, we can call it aid, but more than anything, they intentionally install, and I don't blame them because I can imagine where they come from. They intentionally install the types of leaders that love money, love power, and don't give a fuck about oppressing the masses. Any potentially good leader on the African continent, potentially, the ones that are visionaries like Putin, Nabo Xinping, they get murdered. they get murdered. It's we don't even need to debate it. And they get murdered by their own. It's you can call it their own, but it's people that were like, say, Warras, we hear you and Penuel. We heard you in the last episode saying for 100 meters, Antoana, I can get rid of this Penuel guy. Because fuck this shit. He's busy waking people up. Let's take him out. It's not going to be a big deal for me. Give me my money and we move. So those guys install, and even some of these political leaders, even when you speak to them and they agree, you'll speak to a senior leader in the ANC. You guys are corrupt. You guys is like fighting your voom. And just like the poor, they're like, but you're a politician. You're like, Baba, do you know the people that fund all of us? If I shift, and he'll tell you about political killings in KZN. He's like, if I shift and I say, well, I'm supposed to die, and I'm going to die. And then whatever wish we had, I don't have an army. I've got this nice salary, of course. I've got my offshore, what, I've got some white friends, but ayiko into ngayenza, because if it's not going to be political killings, because there's guys ready to take over tomorrow, they're going to send people from outside because they're like, we don't want the South African currency to get stronger. It means now we have to import commodities at a high price. So the currency must remain weak. We need to make sure that the people behave. And the best deal you guys gave us as insurance is that if we feed them a little bit in grants, they'll shut up. It's much cheaper than giving them jobs. 370 is much cheaper than giving you 10,000 rand a month. I cannot afford that, because the other problem is when I give you 10,000, you're going to become smarter. Now you guys have more money. Now you guys can mobilize against me. It's like, no, fuck this. And the people that run these countries realize that. I can't empower Tabes and Pen and give them NEF and ITC money. They're already decampaigning us. If we give them more money, they will fund all these other weird. And we're like, Pantwana, we made you.
They'll fund all these weird think tanks.
You didn't make me. I made myself. I'm a brilliant. And they're like, check ma.
Yeah.
Check ma.
I'm keep it clear.
Too smart now.
Yeah.
So we are held hostage by these guys. And I don't even know if there's a solution. I thought at some point, and I was wrong, that if we infiltrate these guys, we can sell them some deal. Because some of them are legacies. They're not that smart as well. Speak about dumb poor people. There are many dumb rich people. You infiltrate them, you sell them this idea, if we empower these guys, you want to build the next Silicon Valley in Mlazi, and you want to build Hollywood in Deep Slow, and you know the talent, and it's like, kanti mina ngiyazi in my head, I'm giving these kids resources and platform. They're going to then later on become the tech billionaires who become Elon Musk and infiltrate politics. But I was selling you, these are just dumb nerds. Mr. Beast, Mark Zuckerberg, come on, Fitch. These guys wank all day and they dream about big breasts. And in my head, I'm like, these lights are going to wake up. They just need resources and platform.
An opportunity.
That's who's holding us hostage as the supposed middle class. So when you speak manufacturing, when you speak the railways, if Utebza was a trucking billionaire,
he doesn't want that.
And you're asking him to fix the railways,
he'll be losing massive contracts.
You in security. And now you're making friends to go beyond the work you do. To be like I said, the whole of Joburg and Eguruleni is yours. All these families are going to sign up. We're going to see Warras security on all the homes. And it's like, no, Warras, I need your support. I want to fix the police so that we don't need private security. And you laugh at me. You're like, Dwana, you must be fucking smoking ganja. You're saying I must stop being rich, but the country will benefit. We will be better. You're like, hey, fuck the country. Do you know how many interests and things that I shift because of my private security?
You're right.
My private hospitals, my trucking, my solar, my maintenance of power plants. I'm like the poor people. You want to build the first world and it's beautiful and my kids will be able to play in the streets safe. But now, there's no way I'm going to lose what I have.
What you're saying is hectic because it's everywhere. Because you're saying that if government fixes all these things, the people that are making money from those problems are going to complain. Think about even NGOs. We'll be like, what? How was bad?
You're telling me there's no more GBV. I can't get funding anymore.
Boss.
Exactly. Yeah.
GBV is a big one.
Big money. Big money spinner.
Huge money.
Huge. They were like, hey, no, we're doing a GBV march. Can you give us security for free? I said, guys, I can give you for a discount.
Sure.
I can't give you for free. They're like, but
we're an NGO.
We're an NGO. We need funding.
I know how you guys move. I know you guys get funding. I know you have money.
No, the NGOs are a big one. But even the ones that make money off the chaos also a big one. But like you say, it's a multitude of groups, let's call it.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
So these are
ones.
the issues we have. There's smaller players. You know, when they speak about corruption and there's small players, then there's big players, like I'm saying. The people that milk the DRC and South Africa, those guys, I mean, about Glencoe, there's documentaries on them. Those guys can actually send military to be like, say, there's instability. There's this joke now, which say they need some democracy. Hey, let's send them some democracy. So let's send some troops. Utebza looks like he's unstable. Robert Mugabe. I think they need a bit of democracy there. Let's send.
But it's also like those ones, right? It's almost like you can't hate them for being astute business people.
It's just how they move. I understand.
Yeah.
It's just I'm on the losing side.
People were commenting on the last episode. They said we're fans of the Guptas, and like the Guptas are in the same boat. You can't hate them for being astute businessmen.
Everyone
they came in, they moved. Like Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. They came and they said, how do we structure a deal that benefits us? Because we are business people. We need the
66% of people on my Twitter feed said they would take it
67. Yes.
They would take it.
3 out of 25. 3 meter, Penuel.
Let me stop there. I've got so many other things to say. I wanted to comment on tribalism but maybe I'll make this in my video. Tribalism versus nationalism, because we speak Afrikaner nationalism and we don't call that tribalism. When it's Zulu nationalism, then we call it tribalism. So we need to have that conversation.
Point. Yes.
Moeletsi Mbeki is an example. Trevor Manuel is an example. Maria Ramos is an example. Tokyo Sekgwale, I think, straddles 50-50, and there's a whole host of others. People that were made by the ANC. Moeletsi Mbeki, for all the bashing he does of BEE, is a huge BEE beneficiary. He never speaks about it. He speaks as if he built some company and then he parlayed it into what. And because there are certain BEE beneficiaries he doesn't like, which happens with Cyril and some of these other guys. They're the bad guys. They're the corrupt guys. BEE. And it's like, it's convenient for you, Trevor Manuel, to no longer be ANC. It's convenient to speak about these guys because you're on the other side now and now you're laughing with capital. Yeah, and now you've made enough friends. Are you here to defend him?
But no, I'm not defending him. I think let's separate the two types of BEE.
Types of BEE.
Wait.
Go for it.
Two types of BEE beneficiaries. Okay. On the one hand, you've got the BEE beneficiary who might be an economist by profession, might be a lawyer by profession, and he gets a BEE deal to defend people in cases, and he successfully defends them, and he runs a tight ship, and his company does well. On the other hand, you have the BEE beneficiary who knows fuck all, and he gets placed into a position he knows nothing about, and he just gets paid to be there. This one, who actually does the work and actually is about that life, no problem with BEE. I don't have an issue. Create employment, make your money, but be good at what you do.
Yeah.
And it must be performance-based. You must deliver on the things that you said you would. This BEE beneficiary, I don't agree with getting anything at all. Because this BEE beneficiary gets placed into, like some of the businessmen who've been having court cases of late. These are people who are given projects. The projects never happen, but the money is paid.
Sure.
You were appointed on the project because of BEE and because of your political connections. You never completed the project is a fuck up, and the money is gone. And you never have to give it back. You never have to face accountability for it. You just move on. And we must also just move on. Moeletsi Mbeki, I've listened to some of his talks and some of the deals that he was involved in. Those are real deals that actually happened, that today actually exist. They weren't deals.
You're defending him. It's okay.
Defending him though.
No, he's my dude.
It's okay.
You're defending him.
But
it's okay.
Let me defend him based on what I know. And what I know is that I've stated. I don't think we can scrap every single...
What do you know about his deals? I'm just asking.
No, I only know about the ones that he's mentioned. And to me, the deals that he mentioned, there was like a project, for example, in Richards Bay that he spoke on the Seas Wimpo for World show.
Yeah.
It's where you listen to, okay, we had a deal. The deal was to provide bottles of water in rural schools. That makes sense to me if you're delivering bottles of water in rural schools where there's no running water so that the children don't go thirsty. But if you tell me there was a BEE deal to remove asbestos in roofs, okay, makes sense. That deal makes sense. Asbestos is poisonous.
That's sorry.
It was never done.
Sure.
It was never done. Okay? But you were paid.
Is the issue there BEE?
The issue is you acquired it through BEE and connections.
Okay.
Right? Because BEE is a criteria to get the work.
Is the issue there PEE?
It's part of the issue. The issue is
What's the
BEE,
issue?
cadreship, and corruption.
Why is PE an issue?
Because that contract would have otherwise gone to a more credible company. But it went to you because you ticked the BEE boxes.
You're defending Mbeki.
I'm defending
As a PE
Mbeki
beneficiary.
based on what Mbeki said.
I hear
because for me, he hasn't shown...
In
if
his-
you can show me what
Yes.
he's done,
In
then
his,
you and I will agree.
In his deals,
Yeah.
was PE a problem?
Did he complete the deals?
As far as you know.
As far as I know, I don't know. I don't know
If
if
PE was a problem.
I don't think
Because he
was a
got it through PE.
But PE initially was designed so that he and others could get it.
Yes.
But it's so that they could get it to actually do the work,
I
to
agree.
actually deliver on the promise. In other words,
Is the
if
issue
I
not
choose
work
you,
not being
Penuel,
done? I'm just asking.
the issue is work not being done. But
So
if
it's not PE.
if the work, no. It's still PE. Because a lot of PE deals, the ones that are often criticized,
Yes.
are deals of a massive... These are these massive magnitude deals that used to belong to white companies.
Okay.
When white companies were doing it, the shit worked. You came in, you got it because of PEE. The white company had to come off and you got on because you were black.
They got
You
it because they
fucked
were
it
white.
up.
They got it because they were white.
No, they didn't. They got it because they knew how to do the work.
Are you equal into issue?
No, Iko.
No.
Aye.
No.
There is enough.
No.
You can debate. It's fine. It's
Right.
fine. It's okay.
I'm
But
saying,
I'll tell you now,
okay,
Warras,
on merit,
let me
the
get on
best
there.
company to do the job should be chosen. Yes or no?
During apartheid, this is well
No, I
documented.
don't mean during apartheid. I'm talking
well,
now.
before PE was apartheid.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There was a lot of corruption.
Before freedom was apartheid. BEE came in here in 95 and it was designed so that we could place black businesses into the previously white dominated spaces.
Yeah.
Right. I am saying, and we spoke about this on the last show, you cannot simply get rid of the existing people who do the work. And we all agreed last time.
I didn't agree.
You can't just take...
I didn't
sorry,
agree,
me and
yeah.
Tebza agreed. Vele and umlungu. You can't just take abelungu, in this case, out. Because bang abelungu.
Yes.
We have to see umsebenzi abayenzayo labelungu laba. Singakhona ukuyenza thina. Qala. Before we look at qualification for the work based on race and qualification for the work based on connections. Can you do the work? Can you do the work was thrown completely out. It was PE and relations. You got the job, you fucked it up, it was given to the next company. They got the job, they fucked it up. And fuck up after fuck up has led to this tremendous fuck up we find ourselves in. Now we're reassessing it. Because baningi abantu abatholile ama-PE deals that did excellent work. Baningi abantu that got ama-PE deals that were credible and that were capable from a skills perspective to do the work. There's lots of those. But because of these ones that there's sawdies of the world, everybody gets a bad rep. And I don't think that's fair, including Moletsi Mbeki in this case.
And you're saying the issue might be PE as well.
I'm saying if PE is leveled out the way it's currently being leveled out, it's going to be, it is an issue because it's chasing away foreign direct investment. We can't have companies.
PE is chasing away foreign direct
Yes,
investment.
in other words,
I
if I'm a
disagree
foreign,
with you.
no, but no one wants to invest in a place where the laws are stringent to the point.
Microsoft and
there's
Google
no
keep
such.
bringing
Yes,
money.
that's fine. They are here. But others are
They've
not
been
coming
investing.
here.
They've just signed.
There's 600 American companies still operating in
That's
SA.
fine. I'm saying to you, we need more. With those 600, we still
And they're
find
not
ourselves
living.
in the position we're in.
And they won't leave for us.
That's fine. But they are not enough.
No.
Okay,
Guys,
we're not going to agree on
Wait,
this.
we find
It's
ourselves
okay.
in a position. Ngale 600.
Sure.
Sisasela. Kluti, funeka 600. Peg walo 600. And those new 600 are not going to take the deal.
There's no such proof
There's
of what
also-
you're saying.
No.
You're just throwing numbers in the
speaks
air.
about it all the time. He said 600.
There are no companies that have said
They're
outside
gonna
of
leave.
Elon Musk.
They're not going to leave.
that-
Musk is
no,
a- Musk is one
please just hear me.
example.
I mean, we can use BYD as an example. These Chinese companies.
Yeah.
There are so many companies that keep coming in. So PEE, I've got issues with it myself for other reasons, which I won't discuss today. But the idea that PEE is chasing away foreign direct investment is propaganda that is peddled. The idea that there are certain people that benefit from BEE and don't do the work is a huge problem. It's something we need to fix.
It's not propaganda.
No, that's not
Okay.
propaganda. But it's not because of BEE. In the same way, under the apartheid regime, there were certain people that chowed money.
There was
And didn't do work.
WEE.
We can call it WEE
Yeah, let's call it
as an
WEE.
example. So But we're not going to agree on this, and it's okay. We can debate it. People with better knowledge can come in.
Yes.
My point was to come in and to speak about a person who's a beneficiary of something. And once they get onto the other side, they want to close the gates. Because
so no one else can
he's
come
not
through.
punishing Saudi. He's not saying, look, BE can work if it's done better because I benefited.
Yeah.
He's saying BE doesn't work. Speaking as a rich guy who's benefited from BE. And he's not closing out Saudi. He's closing out future black kids who could benefit. Which we can debate whether that should be done or not.
Can't close out Saudi, bro.
But not from a perspective, not from someone who benefited. Because this is what gaslights people when certain wealthy white people come on platforms and they speak about merit. And they're like, you can't speak about merit. And you're like, but my grandfather and my father worked hard. Well done to them.
Yeah.
But they worked hard in a space that was exclusionary to other people who had the same. When you speak merit and credibility, we don't know how many black Siakolisis were there before. Until now,
but that's
it
the
would
thing.
take a quota.
Don't
for
do
us
that
to see them.
yourself because we don't know. Remember the last time I spoke about unknown knowns?
Yeah.
That is a known unknown. We don't know.
We know.
What we know now.
We know.
What? How many blacks were excluded?
Maponya, Mashaba. We know there are black people that could have done more.
Oh man, you said Siakolisis now.
No, I was using rugby as an example and quotas.
Yeah.
I was just saying, when you say without PEE, we lose the whites. If we don't have white rugby players, we lose the games. And I'm like, no.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay, that's an extreme. That's
so
taking it to the extreme.
we're speaking PEE. I'm
Yes.
speaking quotas.
Right.
That's why when I ask, did they lose because they are black? Or is it because they couldn't play rugby? Because we
Right.
have to be specific.
Yeah.
If the issue is they can't play rugby, I'll be like, there are white guys there that can't play rugby.
They are plenty.
But now if
there
you
are white
want to
guys
say,
who can't play rugby, who are not as good as some of the black guys there, because it's
sure.
merit.
And when we
Yes.
speak BEE, we can criticize it, but we mustn't say BEE or quotas are the reasons we lost. We lost because we don't have good players.
No, and
Or we
I'm
lost
saying,
because someone
and
picked
I'm
their
saying
son.
Cool, that's one side, but you cannot simply ignore the fact that if BEE is a criteria for work to be given, and it can be manipulated in a way where, when that work is not delivered, it is defended under the guise that, but we had to appoint this company. Especially when things like the State Capture Commission happen and we start finding out about contracts that were allocated to certain individuals and taken away from other individuals. When we find about what a lot of the stuff that's happened in KZN, in terms of who was awarded contracts and who was not awarded the contract. And then the contract becomes a fuck up. This road rebuild in Joburg where Priest Street blew up.
Sure.
I'm saying there's too many examples of where BEE is used as the baton to force through the appointment of certain individuals. And others are then sidelined.
But that's corruption.
And, yes, it's corruption,
Don't
but
call
it's
it
corruption
BEE.
under the umbrella of
No,
BEE.
you can't do that. Because it's not BEE.
My brother, they're calling
West-
it BEE.
in
They're
Western
not
Cape-
calling it corruption. That's what I'm saying.
Angithi uday
Yes.
is what we're trying to correct. And if you're
Oh, but I
agreeing
know
with
they.
the media.
Yes.
And if you're going to agree with they,
Zolahleka,
that's where we're not. That's where we're not going to agree. Because
Yes.
in the Western Cape, with Double Zilla building the toilets outside, we
Yes.
can't say that's BEE. But no one says it's because of white people.
Yes.
But when it's black people, it's very convenient, and we mustn't make the mistake. Because again, what's going to happen is this, right?
Yeah.
I don't support BE for my own reasons because of corruption and those things. We're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're going to say black people are in, ESCOM, fuck all the white engineers.
Yeah.
They must fuck off. Black people have arrived. And I'll say, wait. Yeah, you sell out your coconut to Impi, would have necklaced you. I'm like, these guys have the skills. I'll be there fighting for that.
Sure.
Yes.
Then tomorrow, some of the corrupt black people will just bring black people, throw out whites. And then the whites will come back and be like, it's because of blacks.
Yes.
And I'll come on that day and say, no,
It's not because of
it's not because of blacks. It's because you guys appointed Popeyes. And I'm just saying we can't say BEE
Yes.
is the problem if we're not saying what it is there, because we're going to get rid of blacks. We're going to speak meritocracy. Things will stay fucked. Why are the railways not built? Why is the Western Cape? No, it's because of 9 wasted years. It's because I'm like, it's because you guys lied about what's the problem here. The problem here is
The
competence.
problem was
and-
misdiagnosed.
Mbeki made their money. Now they're out of the system, maybe to continue to make the amount of money that they've been making before. And now they're calling foul. They're like, no, this thing is a problem.
Close the taps.
Yeah. I would Trevor Manuel, all of them, and they made a lot of money.
They
These
did.
people, you know.
That's a very good point I don't disagree
so
with.
point is now, but they need to account to the fact that I did make money from this system.
Yeah.
I think that's why it must start sometimes.
They act like they
when there's
built
BE
their
guys
things on
speak,
merit.
they must say, look,
Aye.
I benefited as well. And when I benefited, this is what I did. But now the way it's going, this thing doesn't make sense. Because right now, the way they're speaking about BE, it's like, how fit. You were there, fit. You were there between 94 and 2000. The amount of money that people made within those years is a truckload of money. So they need to account to the fact that I made money, but the way it is now, I think it's wrong. But they don't say those words that I made money
And
from
explain.
BE.
And also
Never.
show the
They
jobs
don't.
they've created.
Exactly.
Show the things they've built with their BE money.
It's hard. It's extreme. And most of these BE guys, I've got an assumption that most of them, when they said, look, we need a BE partner, a black company, most of those companies didn't know what they were doing. If you listen to some of them, they're like, man, I didn't know what I was doing.
Initially.
But because in fact, there's the new government, there's a new South Africa, we're the only accounting firm, and we can operate at this level, but we need to go.
Yeah, bang fagil.
Bang
we
fagil.
learned.
And
But
most
they
of them
learned
are
on
like
the job. A lot of them learned.
Yeah.
Yes, but the point that I'm raising is that they went in there because they're black. And they were the closest thing to proximity to that whatever
opportunity.
Exactly. Whether it's government and whatever private
And
company.
because they came into that opportunity as blacks under some sort of stewardship,
Yeah.
today, 20 years later or whatever it is, they are better forced.
Stewardship is very important. Apprenticeship. I want to say this last point and then let you close. I'm going to say this in my video. Like I said, I'm very angry. So it's whatever. I don't think black people, Africans, have abandoned nationalism. I still think they crave a black country, a black identity as a people generally. And I think Debza alluded to this, that the breakaway of the EFF and MK is meant to act as proof. It's not that the ANC has gone under 50, therefore they don't. It's like you guys are not doing it fast enough or the way we want. Because Julius Malima's EFF, is ANC. Jacob Zuma is ANC. These are ANC guys that were just a bit more radical and a bit more black. 40% plus close to 15% plus 10% is 65% of the population. And anyone who, Alec Hogg in Business asked Umweleti Mbeki this question right after he sat down, and I was so happy. He's like, I hear you saying people have abandoned nationalism, but if you add the ANC and the MK and the EFF, and he's like, no, that's not his reading. And his reading is people want ETA to do more and what. I was like, Warras. Let's go home. Are you done?
I'm done.
Happiness.
I have to go before
happiness.
I get killed.
Warras says to close it. I'm good, man.
All right. Are you done?
Never.
We'll never be done with these chats. I love coming here.
I want to say this maybe as my parting shot. We need to move away from race.
Yeah.
We need to move away from race and move closer to culture.
Culture.
And by culture, I don't mean the cultural tribes that we have. I mean a type of people that you assimilate with. We're very far from it. And in our lifetime, race and racism is going nowhere. But if we can educate, just like the political door-to-door, for me, I think one of my callings is going to be, if I don't get distracted, getting as many people as possible to de-link from race. Because race is the thing that certain white people use ukvuta other white people to support their agendas, even though they lose. And it's something that many black elite people use ukvuta abanye odaki to get them to push their agendas. And if, especially the middle class and the poor, black, white, brown, yellow, if they could see through that shit and start seeing what say, I think that's my guy. She's like, yeah, but ungamla, I guess, but mina naye ngathi siyendaweni
when I
eyi-one.
listen to what he's saying.
Because ngapha ngivutwa someone who shares my skin tone. Ngale when uvutwa umchita that shares your skin tone, and I realize they're making us fight. But when are they laughing? Tina, we're the Popeyes fighting each other. So
And gaining nothing.
yeah, and every other blacks and whites are the only people that are race heavy. You won't hear people in Western Asia speaking about brown people. You won't hear people in Eastern Asia speaking about yellow people. We're here for the yellows. We're here for the browns. It's just white and black. India is a nation. China is a nation. Korea is a nation. You hear Jews, that's a religious group. Muslims it's just black and whites that are so obsessed with race. Rather be like I'm Zulu. Rather push for Zulu. I'm pro-Zulu as long as Konama Zulu there. The partner must be a Zulu partner, whatever. I think we'll move better because at least there's a value system there. Race is not a value system.
No, it's not.
And it's very easy to
the
manipulate
fake
based
one.
on race.
It's been sold to us as a value system that someone is
Yeah,
higher
and
than someone else.
it doesn't work
Bullshit.
sustainably because anywhere you look, it always gets broken by someone.
I want to validate what you're saying. This thing of Utaki can move from the hood and behave a certain way because the culture of the hood dictates you behave this way. And that very same Taki can go to an urban area where he mixes with Indian people, white people, and he assimilates to that culture of that space. And they completely change. And then that very same Taki goes to the hood on a Saturday, Sunday, they become a different person. Because the space you're in dictates how you should
assimilate
behave.
to the environment.
So the culture thing is important,
That little boy, he's stuck there. He's already thinking a certain way.
The culture environment.
I don't know. I hope I did something to change it.
Let's
But
hope for the
we'll
best. We
see.
keep
No,
pushing.
Buffett, no, nivale kahle bafana. Sophinde sibonane.
Ibambeni kanjalo ke bafana. Ibambeni
Ibambeni
kanjalo.
kanjalo ke. Ngisacela ukukhonza. Thank you, sir.
Shut it
Thank
down.
you, Debs.
Oh, Nakhruban.
Watching from Emadadeni in Newcastle.